And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bashing us, him.
All right, attention to roll call. Morning, everybody. Eric is not present for duty. He's late. We sent the duty captain to his house. We're going to give him some time. First we're sending a patrol car by, then we're going to send the sergeant, then we're going to send the duty captain. He's in a different time zone, so we're not sure where he is at the moment. So, but hopefully he wakes up and joins us. So,
yeah, I'm sure the duty captain is going to enjoy the trip to Europe, though.
Yeah. What's going down, brother?
Nothing much, bro. Nothing much. It's unfortunately it's Monday, guys. So welcome in, and hope you all had a great weekend too.
Yeah, so a lot happened over the weekend, dude. Honestly, like so much that I literally can't even begin to start with the amount of insanity that's happened in this mayoral race. I think we've all seen that Curtis Sliwa has been surging both in the polls, on the ground, on social media, and all of a sudden, all the snakes are jumping out, right? All the people that I've always said, the Republicans, right, that they turn their back on everyone. It's all came to fruition. So the grass got cut. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. First day of early voting came in. The turnout was much larger. It was about 500% larger than it was in 2021. Which still, and people are cheering and celebrating. They're like, this is great. I'm like, it was 80,000 votes, dude. There's 3.5 million New Yorkers. Like, I'm not impressed. And day two passed yesterday. Same thing. Another 80,000 votes happened. And again, it was about a 500% increase over 2021. But is the turnout going to be larger in New York City? Yeah, it's going to be more like a presidential turnout election. So I think that's a good thing. I think we need to get voters out onto the ground. But it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove that Andrew Cuomo is going to win. It doesn't prove that Zohran Mamdani is going to win. It doesn't prove that Curtis Sliwa can't win. So it's like there's so much rhetoric and nonsense around all this. And I think it's important to talk about. We saw the snowflake Sid Rosenberg couldn't take the heat, which, by the way, I wasn't giving him. He was calling a bunch of people I know talking bad about me, and then I come to find out so many people are friends with him that they were sharing his posts. So I actually did go to comment, and I'm like, oh, look, this guy blocked me. So he pretends he's the number one radio show in the world. I don't think that he is, especially morning show, he says. And his whole thing was, screw all you people. I'm still going to be number one after the election, and Trump still loves me. I'm like, dude, you're a grown man. Like, what? You sound like you're 4 years old. So what are your initial thoughts, Marlon? Like, what are you seeing like with the early voting? And then now we have Joe Borelli coming out in favor of Cuomo, former minority leader in New York City Council, Dov Hikind, who was formerly pushing for Curtis Sliwa. Like, what are your thoughts about all that?
Yeah. I think this election, there's been so much duplicitousness that it's I think it's a lot of it is unprecedented. We've seen so many guys who they had one pot. They spoke out against Eric Adams and the way things have gone for New York City months ago, and then all of a sudden they've changed their mind overnight, and they're coming out for a guy who literally helped push New York to where it is, New York City to where it is now. So it's I think it's literally unprecedented. Also, by the way, we talked about this before about all the social media influencers who have nothing to do with New York City and don't even know the minutia of what's happening in New York City, come out and all of a sudden start caring about the election. And it's all unprecedented. And I think there's a lot on the line in this election. And like as I've said before, Curtis Sliwa is the voice that the people are going to need when everyone sits down at the table and says, damn, we need to fix this. And what changes are we going to make, But I agree with you, John, that the turnout, the large turnout is encouraging, but I think it is, I think we can't jump to conclusions just yet. But I'm encouraged that so many people are at least paying attention to the election. one way or the other, right? It's a good thing that so many people are participating this time around, because even if we get somebody else in there, I think the fact that they're aware of the issues, or a lot more aware than they were before, means that they'll put pressure on whoever comes in. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts.
No, yeah, I think like I think the voter turnout's a good thing that it's 500% higher than it was in 2021. But at the same time, I still think it's pathetic. I still think that it's pathetic. 160,000 people have voted in the first 2 days of early voting. And again, we have 3.2 million voters. We have 500,000 Republicans in New York City. We have 1.1 million independents. Democrats compromise the rest. So I've been getting a lot of flack over the weekend, a lot of the same talking points. And the one talking point I think that's annoyed me the most, though, is they told me that if Curtis Sliwa got every independent vote and every Republican vote, he still couldn't win. And I'm like, you're an absolute moron. I don't know who gave you that talking point and how many of you are going to decide to run with it. But just for clarification, if in fact Curtis Sliwa got every Republican vote and every independent vote, he would win the election by hundreds of thousands of votes, even in a high turnout election. You have no idea what you're talking about. He doesn't need every Republican vote. He doesn't need every independent vote. He doesn't even need a lot of the Democrat vote. He just needs a solid base. And again, I think author Roldan had put out a great video yesterday, because something's just not clicking in people's head. Curtis Sliwa does not need 51% of the vote to win. I don't know how it doesn't get through your thick skulls. The winner of this election probably is going to win with like a 36 to 38%, 38 to 36 to 38% of the vote. That's all you need. Technically, when you look at it, I mean, it's a three-way race. So you actually technically need less than that, and that's if it was split evenly, which it's not going to be. But I think the voter turnout's great. I like that there's national attention on politics. I just think a lot of the talking points around national politics are people are misconstruing them. So let's start with the first snake. Let's start with Jim Walden, right? Jim Walden was fighting against integrity, right? Jim Walden was running as a mayoral candidate. He was running against the old school Democrats like Andrew Cuomo. And again, I don't think that Andrew Cuomo is an old school Democrat. I think that he's a far left progressive. I think every problem that's being faced in New York and New York City, when it's related to crime, when it's related to housing, when it's related to the homeless and the mentally ill, they're brought to you by Andrew Cuomo. And now most of you are running back to him with open arms because the Democratic Party is gone. There is no Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is a socialist party, right? And so what the world is now telling you is that you need to shift further left and embrace Andrew Cuomo, who 4 years ago you couldn't stand and wanted to be in jail. And a lot of you are doing out of fear. And so I'm sitting there and I'm listening to now Jim Walden begin to campaign for Andrew Cuomo while he was still on the campaign trail. And I'm like, that is something, isn't it? And I think me, Marlon, Eric, and Sal, we were all talking about it. How like, wow, look at this guy. He's campaigning for Cuomo. Like he wasn't coming out during the campaign and saying to vote for Cuomo, but everything he was saying was the polls. As per the polls, whoever's highest in the polls, we should all drop out and get around that. So basically, to me, it was like, yeah, he's campaigning for Cuomo, and then he drops and endorses Cuomo, and he wants to forget about the campaign that he ran. What were your initial thoughts about Jim Walden and suspending his campaign? Not a shock to anyone, because he was campaigning that he was going to suspend this campaign because, I mean, let's face it, he was polling at less than 1%. If I would have ran on the conservative ticket or or even the independent line, I probably wouldn't have raised $13 million like Jim Walden did, but I guarantee I would have blew him out of the water. So, I mean, like, what are your thoughts about that, like Jim Walden first?
Well, to be honest, John, I wasn't surprised when he made the announcement in when was it, September now? Because he actually hinted at it in June or July, when he said basically that words along the lines of if he had to bow out, he would he would he believed that we should all get together behind one candidate. And I remember telling you, I'm like, look at this guy now. I'm like, I can't believe he's gone there. I'm like, how does he recover after saying that? Now, so I wasn't surprised when he actually dropped a campaign and said it in September, because I'd already crossed him out in June, because after you said that, I already knew where your mindset is at, and it's most definitely wasn't at winning or running a competitive campaign, But the other way I shouldn't be surprised, even if I was, is that Jim Walden had always struck me as a little bit of a Manhattan liberal, and I kind of brushed it off because I think that so much has happened in the city that I think a lot of people might have woken up, regardless of where they stand on that socioeconomic ladder. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a Manhattan liberal. It's just that when it comes down to policy, you have to govern with a certain you just got to govern and keep in mind the other people, that the city is made up of other boroughs and other people in it. But it is still disappointing to see him go that direction, because he spoke about the failures of government and how what poor position it's left the city, and to see him then now just change and go and he's now pushing for a candidate who embodies a lot of that failure of government is mind-boggling. What I don't understand, John, is like why people are so quick to abandon their principles just for tribalist politics. If we're abandoning our principles, so thinking that we need this guy to win, this guy's going to win. What have we won if he wins? What have we won?
Nothing.
He's not going to govern according to our belief systems, our principles. So what have you won? It just does not make any sense to me.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And then I think this came as no shock to me, by the way. So, Dov Hikind, literally right after the debate, came out on a video saying how it's clear that Curtis Sliwa is the only candidate that we should get behind. He's been pushing for Curtis Sliwa. He's been talking to myself and Sal in the background. And then out of the blue, first day of early voting, Dov Hikind comes out, makes this video. Ready for this?
My friends, this is truly a very difficult moment for me. 4 months ago, I endorsed Curtis Sliwa for mayor. But today I am asking you, pleading with you, to vote for Andrew Cuomo. Here's why. New York City is in a critical moment. If Mamdani wins, the future of our city is on the line. That's not politics. That's reality. A man who associates with someone who said America deserved 9/11 and another individual tied to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing is simply unfit to run this city. He's pushing ideas like free buses for everyone and government-run grocery stores and free everything for everybody. That's not progress. That's disaster waiting to happen. Now, look, I have my issues with Andrew Cuomo. They're well known. And I understand if some of you feel the same way. That's exactly why this moment matters so much. We do not have the luxury of misplacing our votes. I like Curtis. I still think he'd be a great mayor. But right now, there's only one person who can stop Mamdani, and that's Andrew Cuomo. You don't have to love him. You don't have to like him. You just have to save New York City. So I urge you to vote for Cuomo.
So, all right, we could cancel the duty captain. Duty captain's we got Eric. Oh shit, I dropped Eric. Yeah, so we got Eric. But yeah, that's Dov Hikind. He comes out of absolutely nowhere, and he says that you must vote for Andrew Cuomo and gives you absolutely no reason, no rationale, absolutely nothing. Doesn't tell you a absolute word. What's up, Eric? What's going on, brother?
Good morning, everybody. Well, I had no idea about the time change. I'm in Europe, and I know John's text me like, "Are you up?" I'm like, "Of course I'm up. I'm always on time." And I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" And then I look at, because I have the world clock. That's how I know when it's time to do the podcast. Everything that's going on in New York. Oh shit, the time went back. So yeah, System Unfiltered. This is nice background. Yeah, I'm moving around here. I'm in some good spots. I'm in Budapest, Hungary right now. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm watching what's going on in New York right now. And I spoke to my own mother. My own mother got duped also. She voted for Cuomo. I said, seriously? She says, well, we got no choice at this point. I'm too old to gamble. I said, they really got to everybody. The bottom line is, like, when it comes to this clown, what was promised to him behind closed doors, we'll find out. There's no doubt about it. Because in a matter of seconds, this guy has made a complete 180. He's been in Sliwa's corner the whole time. And then all of a sudden, at the dime of the hat, it just changed. It just shows there's no loyalty amongst men anymore. It's sad. It's sad. Let's not fight. Let's just give up. I mean, this is the free voting market that we live in now. And I think Marlon and I have called it since the beginning. Special interest groups, billionaires are calling the shots. It's not a free voting market anymore because people are getting paid. They're getting paid, maybe not necessarily in funds, but they're getting paid in promises. It's a bartering system. And that's what they're doing right now. Sid, what a loser at this point.
Well, they're definitely getting paid in funds too. There's a lot of money floating around this mayor race. There's a lot of people making a lot of money, and Dov Hikind made a lot of money off this mayoral race. And don't let anyone tell you any different. And I'm sure there's some promises down the road as well. But I mean, I think that the bigger thing was you sat there for months, and you're saying you're all in for Curtis Sliwa. Every debate you're there, you're sharing all this stuff, and then you wake up one day. And like Jim Walden, you don't give a clear reason on why you're endorsing Andrew Cuomo. Nothing changed. Like, there is nothing that's changed yesterday that caused Dov Hikind to do that. There's nothing that he's saying that came out. And Jim Walden then starts retweeting him. Bill Ackman starts retweeting him, right? Where were they 3 days ago? And then what Jim Walden says is, we're all looking at the same data, Curtis. Be the hero and drop out. And I just posed a simple question to Jim Walden. He's a smart guy, or at least, on the surface, he appears to be. He says, I'm like, what's the data, Jim? Like, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the polls that told you that Andrew Cuomo was a sure shot winner of the Democratic primary? Are you looking at the betting sites that told you that? Are you looking at the polls that told you that Eric Adams was going to come in second place to Zohran Mamdani and had the best shot of beating him? Or the betting sites that told you that? Like, what data specifically are you looking at? And Jim, who normally likes to engage on social media, I'm probably blocked from him too, because, questions are violence, people. Like, don't ask pointed questions. So no response. Like, what do you think about that, Marlon? Like, Did you hear anything from Dov Hikind on why he's now endorsing Andrew Cuomo? Because I didn't. I just saw a complete sellout like Sid Rosenberg.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And I think the real question is why the last minute, change. Last minute with what, like a week left. Now to be fair to Dov Hikind, he's throughout the years he's gone between Democrat and Republican. He supported Bloomberg, voted for Bloomberg, then he voted for Bill Thompson, but he's also voted for Trump, George W. Bush, Pataki. So, he's changed his mind. But the fact that he's changed his mind with 1 week left is very, very curious. Okay. Because as we said, you had months. Okay. If you disagreed on certain policy positions that Curtis Sliwa had, how come that disagreement is just a week prior to the actual election? Okay. And I now also keep in mind that Dov Hikind represented Brooklyn Assembly District 48, which is like one of the most conservative districts in the city. It includes the neighborhoods of Borough Park and Midwood, which are I believe that at this point they're predominantly Jewish neighborhoods, but they're very conservative. So I'm very curious how that's going to land over there as well, because considering what happened during the scamdemic and what Cuomo said about the Jewish community, and what this city themselves did in trying to prevent the Jewish community from going to temple and gathering together as a community, that I hope that has not been forgotten by those communities. And that's why I'm curious how this actually is going to land there.
The question I have is this: at this point, honestly, are we tired? Are we tired and exhausted from watching such bullshit? Honestly, I'm tired and exhausted. I mean, is this the way? This is the message that we send our children, that, you know what, in life, like, if you can't win, just give up. Don't fight to the end, to the bitter end. I mean, this is supposed to be the American way, right? Vote. That's how you fight. And the fight should be, let's get more people out there to vote. How about, instead of suffering from voter apathy, that we turn things around by getting people outside their homes and getting them to the voting polls, making sure that people know where to go and where to find Curtis on those voting ballots. Other than that, but just throwing in the towel, the only thing says to me at this point, if we start to reverse engineer, if we were investigators doing a case right now, we would say, let's determine if this was an orchestrated, coordinated event since the beginning. If we start to look back and start to appear that way, we look at Jim Walden, we look at Dov Heiklin at this point. If we look back, the more that these guys push back and throw in the towel at the last minute, the 11 o'clock hour, and tell you, Curtis just can't win. To me, it looks like a coordinated, orchestrated event at this point, that it starts to make sense, because since the beginning, we've said, wow, it looks like Andrew Cuomo is not even running a campaign. Looks like he doesn't even care. And it still looks like he doesn't care. It looks like they've done the job for him. It looks like this was just set up from the beginning. Like, don't worry, this guy Mamdani is going to be painted as the boogeyman. Curtis Lee was going to be forced to drop out. The Republicans won't even get behind him. And you're a shoo-in to win. And I honestly, I think we always say it, what happens in the dark comes out in light. I think this will come out eventually. And, at this point, it's just assumptions and observations, but this doesn't look organic to me. I think it's just pure bullshit. But honestly, I'm tired of watching it. Aren't you tired of watching it? We talk about donor fatigue, voter fatigue. Just from watching on the outside round, I'm exhausted from watching this. That, people like my own mother got duped into voting for Andrew Cuomo, because she even said to me, had a conversation, she thought Sliwa dropped out, because that's what people told her. Because, and my mother, she's an older woman. She's a busy woman. She hasn't been following too closely, following close enough. But she's been duped to believe that Sliwa dropped out. I said, the guy's still in the race, really? But she already voted for Andrew Cuomo, because she does early voting. So people are getting duped. Our elderly are getting duped. As Sal likes to say, low information, and not necessarily someone who's dumb, just not who's paying attention. But I'm just exhausted by watching this bullshit. And it appears to be Andrew Cuomo has a lot of plans out there. There's no doubt about it. This just doesn't make sense.
I mean, I'm not exhausted by it, because, I've been watching this stuff for a long time. Like, I've been watching New York politics for a long time. And basically everything that's happened, I mean, we've been talking about the other guy, one of the other snakes, Joe Borelli. I mean, like, people like, oh my God, the minority leader of the Republican Party, Joe Borelli, is endorsing Andrew Cuomo. And I'm like, all right, I've been telling you Joe Borelli's a Democrat for the whole time he was in city council. Like, I'm not shocked. Like, I'm not tired by that. Oh, Joe Borelli's endorsing a Democrat. Shocker. I would have been more shocked if there would have been like a Republican candidate that Joe Borelli actually stood behind. That would have shocked me. I would have been like, oh my God, Joe's actually taking a stance for a Republican bill, or he's standing behind another candidate that's a Republican. That would have shocked me. Seeing Joe Borelli simp for Andrew Cuomo, that's expected, And to me, again, like, everyone's living like this fantasy world. Everyone in New York City and across America is living in a fantasy world. and they've been for over a decade. Like, they have no idea what it is, what's happening, nothing. Like, they don't watch politics. They don't pay attention. The Democratic Party is the Democratic Socialists of America. That's it. Like, like Andrew Cuomo, like when Andrew Cuomo has no shot. But if Andrew Cuomo did get in, let's just say Bill Ackman and all of them could actually do something competently and fool enough people into actually taking over the Mondani vote and not just stealing votes away from Curtis Lewa. Let's just say, I'll go down there, that he gets in. Who is Andrew Cuomo going to be beholden to? Is he going to be beholden to the Republican voters who got scared and voted for him? Is he going to be beholden to the centrists and the moderates and all those people that put him in, the conservatives? Is he going to be beholden to those people? No. He's going to be beholden to the radicals like he always was. I mean, and that's the thing here, people. Like, what they're telling you now is, and what the Republican Party's telling you now is, like, look, here's the DSA. They're all the way on the left. They're all the way there, right? Here's the DSA. That what you need to do now is become a far left progressive. So you need to be here, and then we're going to fight the DSA who's here. And you need to be right here when you should be all the way back there on the right. You should be all the way back there on the right and say, you know what? I'm going to stay true to my values. I'm going to stay true to the founding of this country. I'm going to stay true to the laws that are on the books, both the United States Constitution and the New York State Constitution, and the laws that are there. And I'm not going to fall into this DEI world, this world where developers have more of a say than the community and everything else. But instead, we're being told that, no, listen, the world moved and it's time for you to move. Instead, if you're an American, if you're a person of faith, regardless if you're a Catholic, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Jew, if you're an atheist, if you're a person of strong moral conviction, you should say, when the world moves, I stay. When the world switches back towards me, it's okay. It's good. I'll reap the benefits because I'm standing there still. When it goes back away from me, I'm still right here. And instead, you're being moved over to become a far left progressive, and you don't even understand that you're kowtowing like Andrew Cuomo and the rest of the Democratic Party to the true people that hold the power in the Democratic Party, which is the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yeah. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different set of results this time. Yeah. I mean, do we think we're going to get a different Andrew Cuomo here than last time? No, especially with the way the shape of the Democrat Party right now. Democrat Party is driven by the far left right now. Okay, because again, that's the part of the constituency that actually is motivated to do anything now. Okay, so the far left drives policy in the Democratic Party, and as you saw from Andrew Cuomo 1.0, that's what you got from him. So expecting to get anything different from Andrew Cuomo this time around is insanity. And by the way, if you're getting the far left Andrew Cuomo here, right? What's the difference between him and Mamdani? Yeah, what's the difference? So it's like logic has left the room here, just as it did during the scamdemic again. And just like in the scamdemic, you're seeing a massive psychological campaign to fool you into voting for someone who's really going to work against your own belief systems and the interests of the public at large.
Well, here's the sum total. Let's discuss a couple of flashpoints here. For one, Curtis Lewa should be insulted by the Republican Party because there's no doubt about it. We've learned that Curtis Lewa was put there to lose. He wasn't put there to win. He was put there to lose. Second, by this, I'm a firm believer that a system is more important than the actual person or the people that are involved. And I've learned that from reading Steve Jobs' book. He talks about how it's so important to have a structured and a strong system, because if you have the best people, great. But if you have people that are not as good, maybe someone's out sick or something happens, the system has to keep flourishing. So if we look at the history of New York City, we've had some bad mayors, and the city still survives. We have times where it does better than others, but in the end, it still survives, right? The city survived after David Dinkins. That was a debacle. The city survived after former Mayor Bill de Blasio. And that was a debacle. The city has survived after the worst mayor ever. His name is Eric Adams. And the reality is, if Zohran Mamdani wins, as bad as people have made him out to be the boogeyman, the city will survive with him also. And it will be no different than Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. And arguably, maybe it could be better than them. But how much worse could it get? So this idea that Curtis Lewa needs to step down to save the city, it's just a complete, as Marlon, you were saying, it's a big psyop. It's a big driving this game and manipulating people. Just like I spoke about my mother, people are being manipulated to believe that the city will die and not survive. The reality is, I know people don't want to hear this. The cops aren't leaving. The cops aren't leaving. The cops have already had their mass exodus. They're not leaving any more now than they've done before if Zohran Mamdani is the mayor. In fact, we will get some failed and weak leadership that will be pandering to Zohran Mamdani just as they did with Eric Adams. They'll tell you Zohran Mamdani is the best mayor. His plan is fantastic. They will find the right people. And that's the reality. And the cops will stay because where am I supposed to go? They didn't leave when there was a vaccine mandate. They didn't leave when CCRB took the careers down of myself and many others. They didn't leave when Sal was wrongfully terminated. They didn't leave when Marlon Bethel was terminated without any due process. They're still there. They're still there. So if Zohran Mamdani wins, the cops, maybe some of them will leave, but the reality is the majority of them, they will stay. They will suck it up as they always did, and they'll suck it up again because that's the way they are. That's the reality. Tim Pool said it right. Are we a bunch of commies? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think really that much is changing. So the fact that we're giving up and we're not fighting and just giving it away doesn't make any sense. It's just pure bullshit. They're a bunch of bums. I'm tired of watching this. I want this to be America. We should fight till the bitter end. And if we fight till the bitter end and then Curtis Lewa still loses, well, you know what? At least Zohran Mamdani, if he did win or he does win, he'll know that the people were behind certain policies. And if he wants the people behind him, he's going to have to act a certain way.
So I don't know, man. Like I used to say, like, it's a hard city to kill. It's definitely a hard city to kill, but it's ripe for the death blow here. It literally is ripe for the wiping out of the middle class and in New York City. Like that's the ultimate goal, and that is the goal of both Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo and everybody's favorite little gray-headed Pee Wee Herman. What's his name? Bill Ackman. Those guys. Like it's ripe for the death blow. Like it just is. Like, and nobody's paying attention. You know, we told you 3 years ago, they're going to take your healthcare away. They're going to change it, and they're going to sell it to you and say, oh, it's good and it's great and don't worry. And now everyone's calling me like, what's up with the healthcare? I'm like, yeah, it's good. It'll be good for a year or two. And then in 2 years, your premiums are going to go up. And then in 4 years, your premiums go up. And then pretty soon, none of the doctors are going to be taking it, and you're just going to be paying out of pocket. And, you know, I'm not shocked. So GI Bros, like, John, why are you beating a dead horse? Sliwa can't win. First of all, Sliwa can win. Sliwa is ripe to win. If Sliwa doesn't win, it's because of people like you, GI Bro. It's because of the defeatists amongst us. It's people that claim themselves to be smart, claim themselves to be conservative, centrist, moderate, Republican, and yet when the going gets tough, what do? They run and vote for more of the same. And what do they get out of fear? They get exactly what they were afraid of. Like Marlon said, what is the difference if you get Zohran Mamdani or you get Andrew Cuomo? There's no difference. There's no difference in policy. We showed you last week how the same they are when it comes to building, when it comes to anything, when it comes to mandates, when it comes to giving the city over to developers, building on parkland. And then I think the craziest thing is when we get to public safety, they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same. Zohran Mamdani is telling you that ICE is a reckless agency. What's Andrew Cuomo telling you? That he's going to use the NYPD to stop ICE. What does that look like, GI Bro? Could you explain to me what type of country you would be living in if a bunch of out-of-shape traffic agents who are now NYPD cops were pitted up against the federal government to stop them, GI bro. Could you explain that to me? So it's not that Curtis Sliwa can't win. It's that Curtis Sliwa should win. But it's like I've been saying, in New York, there really aren't a lot of Republicans. There really aren't a lot of conservatives. There really aren't a lot of centrists. There really aren't a lot of moderates, because you might be so in your beliefs. But when it comes time to the voting booth, if you don't go, or you just go vote for more of the same, you're a far left radical. And that's what New York is. That's what New York's primed to get again. And so why am I beating a dead horse? Because just like 5 years ago, when I told you this was all bullcrap and you were all telling me that I'm a murderer and it was my fault that China and your billionaire friends sent all this virus around and killed all of us and Andrew Cuomo locked us down. Just like 5 years ago when I was telling you it was all legal and it was all wrong and it made no logic and it has no sense. Just like then, I'll be proven right again, GI bro. Just like then. I will be proven right again, because when you get a Zohran Mamdani, or if you get an Andrew Cuomo, you're going to be on here crying about him. And I'm going to be laughing, because I'm going to say, you know what? I did everything I could do. We warned you. We showed you the evidence, and you couldn't see it. You weren't able to ascertain what was right in front of your face. So why am I beating a dead horse? Because in 10 years, I'll be talking about this too, if it goes that way, because everybody is not paying attention to what's happening. We're being led astray. And the Republican Party, is attempting to save far left progressives from the DSA that they already gave up to. They already gave their party up to, and they're beholden to. It's insane.
Yeah. I saw another comment from Hood Mayor that said that the guy that we voted for 3 times caused this. And it's bigger than that, Hood Mayor. You know, it's bigger than that. If anything, the guy we voted for 3 times doesn't seem to care about this. In which case, I've talked about before about the balkanization of this country, where on the national stage, Republicans don't care about New York, because when they see New York consistently going for a Democrat and for leftist politics, they just give up on New York, because you're not going to get any votes from there, and leave them to their own vices over there. So, but I think John is right. And again, going back to what I said, Curtis Sliwa is you need a voice at the table. Those changes that are coming to your healthcare, those changes that they want to make to real estate and to neighborhoods in the city, they're all one and the same, because the system has changed, the economics have changed, and the money will no longer be there. All these changes are coming about now because of the same problem, and that's the money. And again, when everyone sits down at the table, guys like Cuomo and Mamdani don't care about you. Okay, all right. Their circles are filled with wealthy people who have no boots on the ground knowledge of what the blue collar worker is going through right now. When they make the changes, it's not going to be to your benefit. Okay, as you can already see with the changes to healthcare. Okay, they want to make changes to healthcare, but do they want to make any cuts to all the nonsense that we spend money on? Do they want to cut all this money that we're helping to subsidize these luxury buildings? Okay, those those affordable housing that they want to make, it's not affordable. Okay, it's luxury buildings with 1 or 2 apartments for the plebs. Okay, it's 1 or 2 apartments for the plebs. Okay, and it's taxpayer money that's subsidizing it. Why not devote that money towards your healthcare? No, they don't want to do that. Okay, so again, you have to look at the bigger picture of what's going on here, and by failing to look at the bigger picture, you're just contributing to that apathy that the national Republicans seem to have for New York City and New York State.
I just want to push back a little bit on Hood Mayor. Hood Mayor, how you doing, brother? Really active in the chat today. We appreciate it, because it shows that Hood Mayor, who's a friend of the podcast, is passionate about this election. I think a lot of people are passionate about this election, whether you are still in the fight or you've thrown in the towel or you've just accepted potential defeat. So Hood Mayor said that in the 90s under David Dinkins, who was a terrible mayor, probably arguably just as bad as Eric Adams, but unfortunately not as bad. Eric Adams took it far over. But during the time, Hood Mayor says that during the time that David Dinkins was mayor, that the manpower was increased by 25%. And so, yes, that is true. But the only reason why there was a raise in manpower, because the manpower was so low in the late 80s and the early 90s, it was still a dividend. It was still a residual effect from the 70s, from the layoffs. And the numbers were so low, it was in the 20,000. I think it was around 25, 26,000. And the reason why they were able to up the manpower is because it was the end of the tenure of David Dinkins as mayor, and everyone was rooting for Giuliani to become the mayor at that point. So the cops were on board and were excited by the potential for Mayor Giuliani to become the mayor of New York City, which he was January 1st, 1994. So that's why. But if we show the comparison till now, the numbers are so bad with Eric Adams, and they don't see the light right now. If the cops knew that Curtis Sliwa was the man to win and the fight was behind him, we might see an increase in manpower also. But I just say the cops aren't going anywhere because, unfortunately, they've had this mindset, well, I have to be there, where else am I going to go? But as we watch this whole system crumble down, we have to ask ourselves, why are people falling this? It's so manipulative. 65% of registered voters in New York City amongst the 5 boroughs are Democrats. 65%. So if we let Cuomo and Mamdani split the votes amongst them, because reality, Cuomo's not really an independent, he's a Democrat. So if we let them split it, that's about 32.5% for Zohran Mamdani and about 32.5% for Andrew Cuomo. That means that if Curtis Sliwa gets the other 35%, which are the Republicans, he wins. So why are we throwing the towel? Why are we throwing the towel? Let's push and sell the fact that Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani are the same person, and what's a prediction of the future to reflect in the past? You want to know what the tenure is going to be like under Andrew Cuomo or Zohran Mamdani? Just look at your friend Eric Adams. The only difference is they won't be as funny. That's the only difference, because Eric Adams has charisma and he's got character. And then Curtis Sliwa wins by 3%. John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple math, dude. It's simple math, but it's simple math for complicated people, and they just don't get it. And the fear blinds everybody, fear controls the world. And that's what no one understands. It's like when you turn on, you everything's good, right? You walk down the block in New York City, you're like, yeah, it's all right. Nice day. You get on the train, nice day. You get on the bus, nice day. Yeah, there's some crazy shit that you see throughout the day, right? There's some stuff that makes you go, whoa, whoa. But the average New Yorker's day is not a bad day. It's not the craziest day ever, depending where you live. If you live in a high crime neighborhood, you're going to be a lot more raised up. You're going to see a lot more stuff. But if you're on downtown Manhattan, midtown Manhattan, if you live in Staten Island, you live in parts of Queens, you live in nice parts of Brooklyn, your average day is not, it's an average day. I go to New York, it's no different than if I'm in Florida or if I'm in Virginia or if I'm in South Carolina. It's like, it's a nice day, right? It's a nice day, middle of the day, sun shining, But like when you go turn on your TV, you go open your social media app, what are you given? Fear porn. And it's used to control you. It's used to show you everything that's not true, and it's used to manipulate you. And what we've seen is the mainstream media is completely captured by billionaires. They're able to tell you 1 minute that police are heroes, and literally 5 minutes later, tell you that the police are evil and we need to defund them. And the entire world, on a moment's notice, will shift. I mean, how many times have we seen it? I worked with guys for 2 years. 2 years during a pandemic, every day. None of us wear masks. None of us were vaccinated, right? Every day, lining up in an auditorium, going out, sitting around each other, making fun of each other. And then one day, out of nowhere, there was this huge push for masking, and there was this huge push to be vaccinated, and they all became scared of me overnight. I'm like, I've been working with you for 2 years. What's changed besides they told you that it's dangerous? Like, what happened? And so like that is the world. You know, that is the world, and that's what we're up against. We're up against complete phonies. I mean, who's listening to 770 ever again? Because I'm never. I mean, like, you know, I never really did, to be honest with you. I listened to Curtis a little bit. I listened to Giuliani when they were on there. I listened to Lydia when I would commute back and forth from work. I never really listened to anybody else on there. Because I was always like, well, who am I listening to? Patterson? I'm going to listen to Anthony Weiner? I'm not listening to Anthony Weiner. Like, that guy's not telling me anything. That guy's a complete liar. And Sid Rosenberg, I'm sorry, like, he's a funny guy. He's an entertaining guy. He's got a good voice for radio. The guy's an idiot. I'm sorry. Like, the guy, like, personally, he's a moron. When it comes to political analysis, the man has no idea what he's talking about. Zero idea what he's talking about. And he's mad because he can't civilly debate on politics because he really doesn't understand them. Because, like Jim Walden, he's saying Curtis Sliwa can't win based upon the data. And then when you ask him about the data, what data does he give you? He gives you block, because there is no data to prove that. The data actually proves the exact opposite. And the same reason I did the Isaiah Carter's podcast last night, and everyone in the chat kept asking, how'd you know at 1% that Isaiah Carter was going to, how'd you know at 1% that Zohran Mamdani was going to win? And I'm like, it's simple. The polls are telling you this. The media is crowning Andrew Cuomo. And what do you see on the ground? You see all of this groundswell for Zohran Mamdani. And when I go on social media, I can't find Andrew Cuomo's name, and Zohran Mamdani's everywhere. Now, he's not national at that point. He's New York City politics, but I'm not a Midwest social media influencer, so I don't only pay attention to New York City politics when I'm paid to do so. I pay attention to New York City politics for my entire life. So I'm like, when I'm watching this, I'm like, this kid is 100%. This kid is the face of the Democratic Party. He's going to take over and beat Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary. It's not like that I have a crystal ball. It's just is what it is. And then when you switch to now, campaigns are like teams in playoff runs, right? A political politics is like, it's like the playoffs, right? Your team's not doing well. The team like the New England Patriots, they go out and they have an undefeated season, right? And then what happens? They get to the first game of the playoffs to get knocked out. And then this team that was in 6th place starts surging, and they go ahead, and guess what? They're unbeatable. And that's literally where Curtis Sliwa's campaign is, because all the stuff I saw with Zohran Mamdani early on is exactly what's happening with Curtis Sliwa. I did a video the other day. I couldn't put it out because it was like 12 minutes. I went on Facebook, which I'm shadow banned on, which I have the least amount of engagement and the least amount of followers on. And I went on one post and I was like, you know what? I want to see, because I have a large following of Democrats, by the way, a large following of Democrats. So I go on Facebook and I'm like, I want to see how many people support Andrew Cuomo. I went on one post. I went down for like 15 minutes. I never saw Andrew Cuomo's name once. I was crediting Andrew Cuomo with a post that would say like Curtis can't win. I would say, okay. And that was one. And then I went down. I saw 2 Mamdanis. Everything was Curtis Sliwa for mayor, Curtis Sliwa for mayor. And guess what? I could have took that video and put it up and been like, oh, look, this is just as accurate as your likely voter polls, because technically it is.
Yeah. I think the maybe the one positive about all of this is that it's shown us just how many phonies there are, like you said, John. You know, and how big of a gap there is between what the people on the street are thinking and then what the people in the elites are thinking. And we've also talked about this prior, that that there's a lot of populism right now, and in a lot of ways Donald Trump actually rode populism back into the White House again. He did it the first time and then he did it the second time again, but it's all because of populism, because people are now seeing the difference between what we're being told and their actual lives. Like how much times are you being told right now, ironically by Trump himself too, that the economy is great, everything's great in the economy, the market's great, and yet you go to a grocery store and eggs have come down, but a couple months ago eggs were like $10.
Yep.
So there's a clear difference between what we're seeing on the streets and what's being pushed to us by the people at the top. And it's also funny just to go back to the scamdemic, that a lot of the people that are now being revealed as phonies are the people who presented themselves as alternatives during the scamdemic. Because me personally, during the scamdemic, I stopped following mainstream media completely, and I started listening to these alternative personalities like Benny Johnson, DC Drano, PBD. There's a whole bunch of them, but now you see how phony they are too, because there's a different agenda being pushed right now, and all of a sudden they flipped against their principles. But that's the one positive about this, that we're seeing how much phonies there are in the world, and how phony the agenda being pushed to us is.
Shout out to Stephen S. And I think Stephen S. brings up a great point. And I think this is where the Republicans and conservatives really could have pushed and get the votes from any side. This is the key right here. Stephen S. says, and you can vote for Curtis on the Protect the Animals line. I think that is the key right there. That new line of Protect the Animals, I think, could put anyone together in a group, because it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Republican. Most people love animals. I know I'm a huge animal lover. I know you guys are animal lovers. I mean, I have a service dog. The service dog was fantastic for my son. And so animals are near and dear to me. And for most of us, animals are like family, and it's unconditional love. So I think that's where we could put parties inside. And the Republicans could say to people, you know what? If you feel so strongly about a party and you can't move away from the Democratic Party, but how do you feel about animals? Because Curtis Lewa wants to protect animals. He wants new laws and new policies for animal care shelters. Animal care shelters, no longer kill shelters. So I think that's where they can really push people also, right? They said before, if we do the math, if we let Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani split the vote, Curtis Lewa wins by 3%. But if we could also take the votes from some of those people and push them and say, you know what, you don't have to vote for Curtis Lewa on the Republican line, vote for him on the Protect the Animals line, we could get some of those votes. I also think we could get some of those moderate Democrats that are voting for Andrew Cuomo to move to Curtis Lewa. We could get some people, even some hardcore Democrats who love animals so much, we might be able to move them over to Protect the Animals, because I think everyone loves animals. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat. So this idea to throw in the title is just pure bullshit. I'm tired of hearing it. It's disgusting. Because people, if Curtis Lewa loses because of this push and this betrayal of people that have been so-called been behind Curtis Lewa, and if they look back and if the numbers are so close, then they're going to say, oh, man, wow, I guess we could have won. And it's going to be too late.
I mean, the thing is, like, they're not looking at any numbers, and there's not looking at any data. There was a deal made. I don't know where it was made. I don't know what pack it was. I don't know what happened, but it was a clear deal, because it's simple. I go out online. I say all the reasons why I think that Curtis Lewa could win. I do it in an under 3-minute video. None of them are doing that. None of them are telling you Andrew Cuomo's path to victory. You haven't heard it once. What do we hear? We heard the same thing that we heard from everybody. Jim Walden was on here. What did he say? The polls. I was like, you believe the polls? No, I don't believe the polls. So, but you're voting for Cuomo because of the polls. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's the argument. That's literally, you're arguing with idiots. That's what it is. Because, and then ultimately, are they really idiots? No, you're the idiot that believes them. You're the idiot that buys it. They're not the idiots. They're bought and paid. That's the difference. That's the difference, is they're milking millions of dollars. Oh, by the way, it was your tax money because you paid 8-1 in matching funds. And then they sell you garbage and you get scared and afraid. They give you the fear porn and you take it and you buy and you run with it. And then you give your vote. And so, my thing is this, and I don't know what no one understands about this, is I continuously have been saying this. Zohran Mamdani is the face of the Democratic Party. I've been saying that, and now all of a sudden I see Elon Musk saying Zohran Mamdani is the future of the Democratic Party. And I'm like, oh, no, he's not. He is the face of the Democratic Party. Now, he might not be able to run for president because he's not American born, but Zohran Mamdani, in my opinion, is the face of the Democratic Party. Am I off when I say that? Do you believe that that's flawed?
No, you're not. I agree. I agree. He's the new face of it because again, we've highlighted how there's a big push for towards the South Asian community right now, South Asian and Indian community, and Zohan is just a repackage of the same. He's a repackage of AOC, but in a South Asian veneer. You know, he's the same socialist, you know, progressive candidate, and again, the to understand it, you have to zoom out a little bit and look at the global stage with America shifting a lot of resources and supply chains to India, and having the financial capital of America being now run by someone from that community is a massive bonus for the billionaire class. Okay, it's a massive bonus, and don't think for a second that Zohan himself isn't going to leverage that fact to continuously appeal to that community while trying to also appeal to the foreign business community.
John, I think it's a fantastic question, brother. And the answer is yes. And here's why. To be the face of the Democratic Party, you need name recognition, you need influence, and you need leadership of the Democratic Party, but not just in New York City, the entire country. So the answer to that question is yes, because I've traveled the entire country. I've been traveling by RV. This has been my adventure in retirement. And I can tell you what, the name recognition, the influence, and the leadership is there. If you go to Alaska, if you go to Montana, if you go to deep backwoods parts of America, they know the name of Zohran Mamdani. Backwoods areas in America that have far distance and no need to understand politics in New York City, they know the name of Zohran Mamdani. So he has the name recognition, he has the influence, and the answer is yes, he's now the face of the Democratic Party, not just for New York City, but for the entire country, in the hopes that Zohran Mamdani will spread to other blue cities in this entire country. So, John, I think you're spot on. I think he is the face. I think he is the face at this point. Does he have the same leadership and the same momentum as AOC? Not necessarily. But at his level, absolutely. And New York City politics is so important for the entire country. He can't make president, but his influence could be enough to change around blue cities throughout the entire country that have already changed and bring it far worse and far more radical than it is right now. So I agree. I think he is the face right now. And I think also, if anyone had a chance to see, so John did a debate the other day with the public advocate candidate, and he said something that is very true. And that's another reason why he's so attractive and has so much influence, is because he's a new face and a young face, right? That's what what's his name, Marty Dolan, what he said, is that he's a young face, he's a new face, and people love new. And he is the new face right now. He's absolutely has major influence. He is the face of the party right now. Why? He's a Democratic socialist. What's the big part? The big part is what Marlon always says, and I agree. It's the first of everything in this country. The first this, the first that, the first this. He's the first Muslim that may be the mayor of New York City. And that will spread to blue cities throughout this entire country.
I disagree with you there, Eric. I'm saying that he's getting just as much. He's just as much of a notoriety as AOC. Think of it. Conservatives now just can't stop talking about it. Like when AOC first got on that scene, they just cannot. Night and day, Fox News, everywhere. Conservatives. It's Zohran Mamdani.
Listen. I get what you're saying. I think as far as leadership and being the face, to me, it's more like he's kind of like when you look at a magazine and he's the model, right? You see his picture there, but he's not the voice. I think the voice of the Democratic Party is AOC when it comes to leadership. I think he's the face of it, sort of what John said, more like he is the face, like a picture, but is he the voice of it? I still think it's AOC.
Yeah, no, I'm with Marlon, man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me who's the voice or who's the face. Like he is the Democratic Party. AOC is the Democratic Party. Tiffany Caban is the Democratic Party. Shahana Hanif is the Democratic Party. All of these radicals, they are the Democratic Party. Like, so I don't know who's more popular and who's not. I don't really care. Like, because the thing is like, ultimately, why did Andrew Cuomo pass bail reform? Why did he open the jails? Why did he push down these totalitarian edicts? Why did he do it? He needed to appeal to his base. Who's his base of voters? It ain't you, bro. They're trying to scare you to make it. Who's his base of voters? They're a bunch of radicals. So this is the look. We've had Kathy Hochul come out. The governor of New York has came out and endorsed this little 33-year-old commie, and he didn't endorse her back. The minority leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, who, if we lose the midterms, he's going to be the Speaker of the House, right? Like, so if we lose that, he's going to be the Speaker. Like, so like, if we get this guy, he comes out, he endorses Zohran Mamdani. Carl Hastie, leader of the Assembly, endorses, who did he endorse? Zohran Mamdani. Andrea Cousin-Stewart's in the Senate. Who'd she endorse? Zohran Mamdani. Did he endorse any of them back? No. Is he going to? No. He's going to endorse a radical in return, or he's going to endorse Andrew Cuomo, who helped him win this election, to become the next governor. He is the control factor of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party no longer exists, and no one wants to admit that. Nobody, not former Democrats, not these politicians. The Democratic Party is compromised of socialists. They've been for the last 10 years, and now you see it clear as day. Zohran Mamdani and others just like him are the control. They're the ones. You ever see juice? You got the juice now? They got the juice.
Marlon, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I just want to say, since we're on this debate, I think we all kind of agree, yes, he is the face, but I do believe it's AOC who's the voice of the party. The reason why I say that is because he's a newcomer to this game, and no one really knows who he is or what his policies are, or lack thereof. They just know he's the face of it because he's the first Muslim. It's attractive. He's the new guy on the block. I do think he's the face, but I still think it's AOC is the voice, because I say to myself, if AOC and Zohran Mamdani were in a race together, I think AOC would win.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I saw a comment from Juju that he goes, if you guys are so sure the Red Beret will win, why so much Islamophobia and hatred towards Mamdani? And the whole point where we're trying to get across, Juju, is that again, Mamdani is no different from Cuomo, and that the establishment are trying to build up Mamdani as a counter movement figure. Okay, that they're trying to make him appealing to young people, and they keep talking about him and giving him more public notoriety, which he didn't have months ago. Months ago, nobody knew who he was. When AOC got on the scene, overnight, she was built up. Okay, overnight, nobody knew who she was yesterday, and now all of a sudden, they couldn't stop talking about her. And that's what's happening with Mamdani. They're building him up now by making him seem as a choice against billionaires, who are supporting Cuomo. When reality is, he's behind him are the same mega rich people, because again, Mamdani comes from a wealthy, connected family. Okay, so that's the point.
Listen, I think these are great points. Again, I think that Zohran Mamdani, I agree, is the face. He's got the name recognition. Why does he have the name recognition? I think it was smart by the Democratic Party because people are fascinated that this kid's in his early 30s. And if you look at his family, the grassroots are not even from New York City, right? His father was a political theorist. The mother's a filmmaker. He has an intellectual background, right? He went to a liberal school himself. And he's the first Muslim. So he's definitely the face. But as far as the voice, I think if he wins, he could then be the voice of this party. And I think right now it's well, what's that saying you like to say? Oh, myth building. Kind of like myth building right now when it comes to Zohran Mamdani. Yeah. And that's why I said, when we're doing the X Space, after listening to him in that last debate, where Errol Lewis was the moderator. Try saying that 3 times. When Errol Lewis was the moderator, we realized he's not the boogeyman they made him out to be, because he really is just a face. Because there's a lot of information that he could not really articulate, especially when it comes to his policies. We realize there really is no policy. It's just very rehearsed. That he's just a plant in that party. He's a potted plant, but he's not actually a voice for it.
Hunter says Anthony Cumia talked about it last night. So, all right, listen, I like Anthony Cumia. I like Sid Rosenberg. I like everybody on WABC. I wouldn't take anything that any of them said on WABC and ever think that anything that they're saying is coming from their heart, because John Katzimatidis told them what to say. They all woke up one day and said, oh, Curtis can't win, and none of them could articulate why. What polls do they see? What data do they see? They all just woke up at the same time? I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. They're not their own men. They're people fighting for a paycheck. I feel sorry for them. They're not using their own voice. If you're going to continue to listen to WABC, just understand that you like being fed and shoveled bullshit. You are a mushroom, my friend. You know, that's it. I don't want to hear what anyone at WABC says, because it's ultimately just look at what John Katzimatidis says. That's what they're going to say. Look at what Margot's saying. That's what they're going to say, because they're not their own men. They're just fighting for a check. Look, and here's the thing, like, doesn't matter the face, the voice, anything. The Democratic Party is finished. No one understands this. Anyone that voted for Cuomo is voting for democratic socialism. That's what no one's understanding. Listen to this clip of Andrew Cuomo. You didn't vote for a Democrat. You didn't vote for an independent. You're voting for democratic socialism. Listen to this moron.
Because the Democratic Party has changed so much, people say it's no longer your father's Democratic Party. You know, it's becoming more extreme. Do you even consider yourself a Democrat anymore?
I am a Democrat. I don't consider them Democrats. Zohran Mamdani is a socialist. He happens to be on the Democratic line. I am a Democrat on the independent line.
Because the Democratic...
So the Democratic primary winner isn't a Democrat. No, the Democratic primary winner is a socialist, and you are looking for the socialist vote because you are a Democrat, Andrew Cuomo, but you got trounced out because you fed the alligator and you fed the alligator and you fed the alligator, and guess what? The alligator got you. Anybody voting for this failure, you're voting for democratic socialism. Because if for any reason he was to get in, he's going to kowtow to all of Zohran Mamdani's support, just like Andrea Stewart-Cousins, just like Carl Hastie, just like Governor Kathy Hochul. And mind you, they're not even much better than the Democratic Socialists.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this chat, John. I'm seeing certain comments from people that aren't showing up on YouTube. I don't know what. That's not us guys. If that's you typing it, it's our overlords, you know. Because I saw a comment from Fox that just isn't showing up in the YouTube itself. But I agree with you, John. He did feed the alligator. Cuomo 1.0 most certainly did, you know. And we all know that he seems a little bit disinterested in actually being the mayor, and that he has higher ambitions. You know, perhaps it's to continue to, you know, run for president one day, or to certainly get back in the governor's office. You know, and I think it'd be naive in thinking that he's not going to try and leverage the far left to get into the governor's office. I don't know if he could with the rest of the state, you know, but I most certainly think, since again, the base of the of the Democrat Party, the only wing of the Democrat Party that's excited anymore is the far left. Okay, so I think it'd be naive of us to not think that he's going to do as they say, just in the hopes that he can leverage that support to get him back into the governor's mansion. You know. Most certainly, Kathy Hochul is trying to leverage that support right now to remain in the governor's mansion. But yeah, he's fed the alligator before, and it you know, it's gotten him to where he's at right now. And don't think that he's not going to try and give him even more red meat this time.
So what's the difference between Democrat and Democrat Socialist? Because Andrew Cuomo is telling you there's a difference, right? He's telling you he's a Democrat, and he's telling you that Zohran Mamdani is a socialist. And we're telling you that they're one and the same. So what's the difference, right? If we look at the fundamentals and the breakdown, the principles and the concepts of Democrats, it's the ideology is supposed to be to make capitalism more fair, right? On a fair level playing field of capitalism. And socialists are supposed to go beyond, right? The socialists, they want to go beyond capitalism entirely. But Andrew Cuomo, how do we know he's a socialist? We know because of COVID. He told us, right? John loves to tell you, he loves to tell you what food to eat, right? He told you what food is essential. He told you what businesses should be open, should be closed. That's not democratic socialism. He's telling you how capitalism should be. That goes beyond capitalism entirely. That's not fair capitalism. That's who Andrew Cuomo is. Andrew Cuomo created all this legislation that goes beyond capitalism, right? Bail reform, discovery, 50A, qualified immunity, removal of it for police officers. He went beyond capitalism. He is a democratic socialist. They are the same. The only reason he's running on the independent line is because Mamdani would have wiped the floor with him. Not only did he didn't win by ranked choice voting, he won straight out. He won straight out the primary. And everyone is to believe at this point that Andrew Cuomo is the savior, just like Eric Adams was. Are we tired of being fed bullshit? That's why I'm saying, just do the math. Let them split the 65% of registered voters. That's 32.5%. Let's get some of those people to move over to the Protect the Animals line. And if you do the math, Sliwa wins. And does it matter if he wins by half or a quarter of a percent? Who cares? A win is a win, right? We all watched The Fast and the Furious growing up, an amazing movie. And what did Vin Diesel say? Winning is winning. That's all that matters. If he wins by a quarter of a half of a 1%, he wins. And he's the mayor. But instead, let's throw in the towel. And let's feed people bullshit. Maybe if we feed them enough bullshit, they'll start to believe it. And the reality is, people do believe it. They fell for it.
Look, and that's the thing that I don't think anyone's grasping here. It's like you're feeding the alligator also. You're doing, if you vote for Andrew Cuomo, you're doing exactly what Andrew Cuomo does. You're feeding the alligator and you're feeding the alligator, hoping that it eats you last, but eat you it will. And here's the alligator, people. Here's the alligator. Here's Governor Kathy Hochul. Here's a bunch of millionaires like Andrew Cuomo, Kathy Hochul, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Stuart Cousins, Hasty. They're all up here. This is Queens. This is Forest Hills, Queens, people. This is last night.
Knocked down, and we get up stronger, and more resilient than ever before. Woo! I'll be fighting every day with my partners on the same side. I'm Stuart Cousins.
That's it, people. This is what it is. This is your Democratic Party. Do you know why Andrew Cuomo didn't fill out that stadium, in Forest Hill, Queens? You know why? Because all his voters are there for Zohran Mamdani. His base of support is there for Zohran Mamdani. Andrew Cuomo couldn't fill that stadium. We got almost 800 people in here right now. Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. If you're on Twitter, please share it out. If you're on any place they could share it out. But this is more people than Andrew Cuomo could ever pack a room with. What would that stadium look like if Andrew Cuomo, who is a Democrat supposedly, what would it look like? What would that be? 50 people? 60 people?
Yeah. RH said something about us not understanding what's really going on, and us not understanding socialism and capitalism. Um, RH, I think it's you that's missing the false construct being presented to us. You know, that what you need to really understand is that at the top is corporate socialism. Okay, people like Bill Ackman. Okay, and this is why you're getting the same product when you, regardless of if you choose to vote between Mandani and Cuomo, you're getting the same product, my friend. Okay, it's because that the money and elitism that's driving the top is just presenting you two different options in the same package, the same option in two different seemingly different packages. Okay, he's going to win regardless of whether you elect Cuomo and Mamdani. And if you don't think so, I have a feeling you haven't actually read their policy documents. And this is why, again, like as John just told you, okay, that audience you're seeing there, okay, one way or the other are going to be telling Andrew Cuomo, what to do. And when they tell you socialism, right, what they really mean is the corporations, that what they're giving you is going to be repackaged under the veneer of government services. Okay, because the government ain't going to provide you those services, right? It's going to be corporations contracted through the government. Okay, so it's the same corporate socialism.
So here's the question. The question at this point, I think, is what do we believe? Do we believe our eyes or do we believe the numbers, right? And numbers and statistics can be manipulated. We talked about poly market. To me, it's just casino gambling. But when we talk about polls, what's the difference between registered voters, likely voters, the manipulation of these polls? Do we believe these polls? And I think for the most part, we all agree that these polls are pure bullshit. So I believe my eyes. When my eyes see what's going on, for instance, at that rally in Queens, that says that the voters, the registered voters that are behind Zohran Mamdani are out. They're out and they're spreading their message. They're trying to get voters that are not on board yet or people that are not completely on board to move the needle. We don't see the same support for Cuomo. That's why we've been saying it. If you do vote for Andrew Cuomo, you might as well vote for Zohran Mamdani. It's the same vote. So the fact that we're not getting behind Curtis and we're actually, people like Dov Heiklin and now, red face, Botox Sid Rosenberg, when they get behind Andrew Cuomo, you just made it an easier win for Zohran Mamdani, right? Just as we always heard this campaign of perception versus reality. I like to play the game of perception versus reality, and I say my perception is the reality. My perception is the boots on the ground, and the support is to Zohran Mamdani. They're there. You see it. You see it as clear as day. He has the crowd. He's got the support. Andrew Cuomo doesn't have it. And like John, I agree with you. A good majority of those voters right there could be on the fence between Zohran Mamdani and Cuomo, but either way, it's the same. But we're not getting behind Curtis Lewa. We're not getting behind Curtis Lewa. We're talking about right now, this is a neck-and-neck race between Curtis Lewa and these two. And let them split it. That's what I'm saying. Let them split it. But to move away from Curtis Lewa and to give it to Cuomo, you might as well vote for Zohran Mamdani. You're saying Zohran Mamdani could be the death, could be the nail in the coffin for New York City, but we're just giving it away. We're just giving it away, and we're actually helping the demise of New York City by doing that. Again, I see we just put it up here. Smash those like buttons, like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate it. The chat, the engagement, we appreciate it. We have only a couple of days left. The bottom line is the math doesn't add up. The manipulation tactics, the gaslighting is so prevalent right now, and we still have a couple of days to save it. I don't care if it's a fraction of a percent. A win is a win. But if we give up now, we've already given up. And these backstabbers, and Stephen S. said it right here, Dov Heiklin and Sid Rosenberg are backstabbers, throwing cats to socialism. Yeah, they are backstabbers. And they did it at the 11 o'clock hour. We're stringing people along. And now they're telling you, throw in the towel. Bums.
So Jack Stern, producer of the Sal Greco show, says, Mamdani represents hope for desperate communities. Even if he can't pass his crazy policy, he metaphorically represents change for voters. So, Jack, we know that you like Mondani. I mean, it's very obvious that like you continue to like tout him, but this is like the problem with Mondani is this. He doesn't represent change. He represents further left. He doesn't represent the desperate communities at all. You know who he represents? The white upper middle class in New York that is well educated but can't see what's happening in front of their own eyes and can't ascertain or have a thought of their own that they're not told by somebody. This is Zohran Mondani. I'm going to play this. And this infuriates me. It infuriates me when anyone tells me that he represents change or he represents these people in the desperate communities. What is Marlon Bethel? What is Marlon Bethel? Does he not exist? Does his life not matter? Apparently, because it doesn't fucking matter to Zohran Mondani. Because when he was on this podcast, he told you exactly what he thinks about Marlon. He told you exactly what he thinks about all of you. He represents the billionaires, just like Andrew Cuomo, just like the rest of these cowardly Republican and Democrat politicians. He is the establishment. He is the Democratic Party. What did he say? What did I ask him? I said, we have Marlon Bethel here. He is a first-generation immigrant, just like yourself. Not born in this country. I was told by the Democratic Party that these are the people that matter, that they actually matter more than I do. And you know who matters more than Marlon? The ones that come here illegally, unlike Marlon. They go ahead of the pecking order. And what did I ask him? Well, Marlon came here. He did everything right. He's a member of the Queens community. He pays his taxes. He's a homeowner. He rises to the rank of intelligence detective in the NYPD, and he's living the American dream. And he was fired from the New York City Police Department because of an authoritarian government that said, you're going to do this thing, even though I'm lying, and the thing I'm telling you to do makes absolutely no sense. And Marlon exercised his rights as an American, and the New York City Police Department and every fucking cowardly, ballless chief, you know what they did to Marlon Bethel? They terminated him without due process, without charging him with anything, because they wanted to have Bill de Blasio's cock so far down their throat that they couldn't even talk, so they could go home and kiss their wife on the mouth and kiss their children on the forehead and think that they're a man. And they terminated Marlon Bethel without due process, without probable cause, without fucking charging him administratively or criminally. And this fucking piece of shit, what did he tell you? No, I want the ability to do it again. And here's Jack telling us that he represents the underrepresented communities. Are you kidding me? Listen to how full of shit this guy is. Listen to this.
Their freedom doesn't just come at the expense of dignity and truth. It comes at the expense of the freedoms of others too. They are the authoritarians who seek to keep us pressed beneath their thumbs, because they know that once we shake ourselves loose, we will never be held down again. Each and every one of these people think New York is for sale. Freedom has belonged only to those who can afford to buy it. The oligarchs of New York are the wealthiest people in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. They do not want the equation to change. They will do everything they can to prevent their grip from weakening. The truth is as simple as it is non-negotiable. We are all allowed freedom.
We're all allowed freedom, but Marlon can't get his job back because I need the ability to be able to do that to you again. That's what he told you. You know who Zohran Mondani is? He's Andrew Cuomo. He's Joe Biden. He's Joe Borelli. He's Dov Hikind. He's Sid Rosenberg. He's John Katzimatidis. He's Bill Ackman. He works and represents the billionaire class. He is the authoritarian.
Yeah. Guys in the chat, just ignore him. It doesn't bother me at all. I have a very thick skin. Okay, so it disappoints me, John, that like it's so easy in our modern times for politicians to say nice things while doing like inherently evil things. And it just flies over people, and I just can't understand why they keep getting it over on people. People just fail to see it. They failed to see it during this pandemic. And think of all the bad things they told us during that time, and they told us it's good, but we're doing it for a good cause. Look at the collective good. And here we have a guy who keeps saying nice things, but when you press him on the real issues, he wants to do some bad things. Okay, but yet people keep falling for it. Now I don't. To go back to Jack's comments, I don't know where Jack is what he's referring to, but you do have to make that distinction, Jack, between what Mamdani is saying and then what young people may be being lulled into thinking is his actual beliefs. What he's saying is a lie. Okay, he's telling them what they want to hear. Okay, that's not what he plans to do at all. The things he plans to do are going to negatively affect their lives, young people's lives, just like what Eric Adams has done, just what Bill de Blasio have done.
First of all, there's no one more insulting than the Democratic Party. Democratic Party is so full of shit. They insult their own constituents and their own voters constantly. Why are we telling people that they're underrepresented and then they can't do any better in life, that we have to give them baby baskets, and then we have to give them free food at city-owned grocery stores, and we have to give them free bus passes, and they need free rides? There's a great book out there, I love to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it says, what's the difference between rich people and poor people, right? And poor people work for money, and rich people have money work for them. And that's what these billionaires are doing. They're having people work for them right now to get out their message. They're insulting their own voters, insulting. And also in that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the ideology it says shouldn't be, well, I can't afford this. The question should be for someone is, how can I afford this? Why is Zohran Mamdani, or why isn't Zohran Mamdani pushing to his people, here's what you need to do so that you could afford more. Let's get out there. You have a lot of opportunity. You have a lot of potential. But instead, we keep them suppressed. And we keep them suppressed so that we have control. That's why they don't like people like Marlon Bethel and John McCarry, Eric Dim, and Sal Greco, and Rob Lukash, and Ron Layson. Why? Because we think outside the box and we push back. They don't want that. That's when Zohran Mamdani came on here for his 18 to 20 minutes and ran out because the conversation started to get a little thicker. The reason why he ran out is because he didn't want to put Marlon Bethel back to work, because Marlon Bethel thinks outside the box. They want people that they can control. They want people that don't think outside the box. They want people that are just told what to do. They want slaves. They want to tell them what to do. That's why. And he told us here straight out, why would Marlon Bethel not get his job back? Because at the time when there was a mandate, whether the science proved or not, he didn't listen. So that's what they're telling you. Even if we feed you bullshit, we want you to do it because we want to control you. We want you to be a slave. So if anyone's the most insulting to their own people, it's the Democrats, telling people that they can't afford it. Let's give them baby baskets. What an insult. Why don't we tell these people, you have a lot of potential. You have the ability to go to college. You have the ability to go to trade schools. You have the ability to own a home. You don't need affordable housing. You need a better job. You need to show your skills and get your skills out there. That's what we should tell people. There's a whole world out there. That's the one beauty I could say about immigrants that come to this country legally, see the opportunity in America. And they use that opportunity to better themselves. But instead, people that are homegrown from New York City, we tell them that they're not good enough and that they can only afford so much and that we have to give them things. And giving them things just keeps people suppressed. So instead of looking at it as free, look at it as these are gifts of slavery. That's exactly what they are. To me, this is pure bullshit. I'm just tired of seeing this, and we're insulting people, and people love it. Oh, it's great. Give us free baskets. You don't need their baskets. And when people give you something and you don't have to give something back, you should be asking yourself why. Because things aren't for free. So you know what? Instead of, from now on, you know what should be on the ballot? It should be Democrat, Republican, protect animals, and it should be the billionaire class. That's who you're voting for. When you vote for Democrats like Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo, you just voted for the billionaires that are behind them, that have been pushing everything right now to keep these people suppressed so that they can keep making more money. Stop being a fool.
No, it's a joke. And you know who else slaps you in the face? I think the biggest disappointment ever is Donald J. Trump. Honestly, the guy is he doesn't even know what he's talking about anymore. So he posts this. Why would anyone vote for New Jersey and Virginia gubernatorial candidates Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger when they want transgender for everyone, men playing in women's sports, high crime, the most expensive energy prices almost anywhere in the world, vote Republican for massive energy cost reductions, large-scale tax cuts, and basic common sense? Under President Trump, gasoline will come down to approximately $2 a gallon very soon. With the Democrats, you'll be paying $4, $5, and $6 a gallon. And your electric and energy costs will likewise soar. Vote Republican and get a great and very affordable life. And you'll get voting Democrat, unrelenting high crime, energy prices through the roof, men playing in women's sports, and heartache. And then at the same fucking breath, he's telling you to vote for Andrew Cuomo, who is exactly like Mikey Sherrill and the other loser. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, is this a joke? Am I a moron? Am I stupid? I must be because I voted for you 3 times. But obviously, you're part of the oligarch billionaire class also. Just like your little buddy Zohran Mamdani that you would be more than happy to have win. That they would be more than happy to have win. And that's what, again, RH, you're a moron. You think that we're on a different team and we're all playing on the same team. You're just crying on the other side. Everyone in here that's like, oh, it's Republican, it's Democrat. No, it's the billionaires versus the working class and the poor. And if you're in the working class and the poor and you're crying and simping for a Republican president or a Democratic president, or you think that any of these politicians are going to come to save you, you, my friend, are a useful idiot because you're being played. And you're being played by people who are much, much, much of less much intelligence than you. You have a lot more intelligence than the people that are playing you. You could put on a better charade than the people that are controlling the system. I mean, it's a slap in the face. You're saying, don't vote for this because you're going to get all these bad things, but vote for this in New York City. I saw that. I spit my coffee out. I'm like, is this guy kidding me? Am I a moron, or are you just a jerk off? Or are you just a billionaire whose son wants to be the president of the United States, Eric Trump, who wants to be the president of the United States. And while in the meantime, you're going to use your resources to benefit from New York City contracts and get all the windfall of funds that come from having a Democrat in New York City office. I mean, are we stupid here? Are we really that stupid? Because we must be. He did it.
Oh, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, we gotta go on a show. At least
Hassan, Hassan, you're good. You don't owe us any money tonight. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, look, did I do it on Friday? I don't think I did it on Friday.
You're good for. I think you did.
I got to throw one in a week, So it just goes to show you, Juju and RH. We voted for him 3 times, but we're still critical of him. And that's what the position you're supposed to hold as a voter. You got to hold these politicians to their word, and call them out on their BS. But Eric mentioned something the last go around about something called baby baskets that's been pushed by progressives, and it's funny enough, it started being pushed after the right around the time of the scamdemic, okay, and it. Just to let you know what it actually is, it's basically government giving diapers and a basket full of things for newborn babies. Okay, and on its surface, it doesn't seem that bad, really, right? But if you really dig deeper into it, you'll see that it's not too far off from the idea of giving newborns the $10,000 in their account as they're born. Or the 1,000, which Trump has already made law with the big beautiful bill. So now they're going to give every newborn in the country a $1K account. I don't know when they can withdraw it, maybe 65 or so. which makes it just another form of Social Security. But think of it, it's a gift to Wall Street every year that they get from government, from taxpayer money. And that's the inherent problem with all of this. It's you're taking taxpayer money and you're giving it to corporations. The baby baskets are going to be items purchased from corporations. They're going to benefit from that. Okay, and the problem here is that you have the accounts being pushed by Republicans and the baby baskets being pushed by Democrats. But ultimately, both of these are hollow gestures, right? They're hollow gestures that don't actually improve your lives. And just to go back to what the comments that John mentioned, Jack made. We're not picking on Jack, by the way, because Jack is a vital part of the Finest Unfiltered. And Jack comes at this. He comes at this from a different viewpoint that's good for us to hear.
Absolutely, he represents the younger mindset and the younger
Yes.
generation.
Yes,
But they don't
absolutely.
see it, dude. They don't see
Absolutely.
it because they don't have the years. That's the thing. They just don't see it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is why they're falling for these hollow gestures, which is when Mandani says nice things, he says nice things. That's great. But when it comes to putting pen to paper, he's doing bad things that ultimately are going to make their lives rougher. Okay. And those hollow gestures are not going to improve people's lives. And that's the entire problem with it.
I think you're spot on. I think the baby baskets to me are very symbolic. And to me, it's almost like if we had a massive flood in New York City and we had a tsunami coming in, and the mayor came up and said, "Hey, here's a nice umbrella." You're like, "Okay, great. I'm not going to get wet, from the sky, but you still got all this water coming in. Who's gonna put a dam and who's going to stop this?" So we're handing people baby baskets while the streets in the South Bronx and parts of East Brooklyn are burning. I mean, the streets are so uninhabitable right now. The crime is out of control. But we're going to hand you baby baskets. It's almost like when people get hooked on drugs. Let me give you a little taste. Yeah, here's a little taste. This is going to be good. But now you're going to be hooked and you're going to be addicted and your life's going to be worse. So we're going to give you these baby baskets, but it doesn't fix anything. And yet we're not going to fix and make the police force better by putting more manpower and getting you the most qualified people to police your area. No, we're going to take those cops out, those evil cops that have the firearms, that have been trained to deal with people on all different levels and different facets. We're going to replace them with social workers. That's what we're going to do. That's going to make your neighborhood safer. These people that are going to be unarmed and untrained, but they have the gift of the mouthpiece, they're going to calm things down and they're going to protect you. But here you go. Here's 4 diapers that will last you half a day. And here's a little baby bottle that who knows what kind of BPA is in that plastic bottle. That's what we're going to give you. It's a freaking insult. The water's coming in and they're giving you an umbrella. Think about that analogy. That's exactly what's happening. This is out of control. It's ridiculous. I think I wonder how people could vote Democrat at this point. They're insulting you. They're telling you you're not good enough. And they're actually insulting you by giving you a Band-Aid or giving you a pacifier. That's what they're doing. Here's a pacifier. Shut up. Enjoy it. They're saying that you're so superficial that you have this little gift and you get so excited by it and it masks what's really going on. That's what they're doing. Look at that packed crowd. Look at these people right now. They don't even realize how they've been bamboozled. Young, old. And I'm sorry, and I get it for the young people like Jack. Jack's a really smart guy. But young people's reality, we were all young too. And when you're young, you don't necessarily see everything between the lines, right? You see a beautiful wall, like you go into a house when you're young, you go into a nice wall, and you don't realize it's a cheap-ass sheetrock, and you can just put a hole right through it, and behind it is nothing. That's what this is. It's just sheetrock. It looks great, but put a hole through it, and there's nothing behind it.
Spot on, Eric. Spot on.
Nah, yeah. I mean, that's what it is, dude. It's the socialists have taken over. They've infected everyone. They're pushing you back from authoritarianism, but yet they want the same powers that the authoritarians they're claiming to fight against had. They're just looking to seize power, and they've seized the power, and that's it. So I don't really think I think it's a damn shame what happened. I feel terrible for Curtis Lewa because the establishment politicians are against him. And I'll tell you right now, after this mayoral election, I will never, ever go in for a candidate unless they are not establishment. I am never going for a mainstream Republican or Democrat candidate ever again in my life. It's over. It's over. Because what I've witnessed and what I've watched, New York City is the swamp. If you could see New York City politics, you know everything that's going to happen, because what you're seeing is a complete manipulation of the public. It's a complete manipulation of people, and it's all being brought to you by these little socialists who are running New York City, running New York State. They have the juice now. They have the control. Your only option is Curtis Sliwa. So win, lose, or draw, you know, I don't. It doesn't matter to me at this point. It doesn't matter to me. The path for victory is there for Curtis Sliwa. You just have to be willing to go out and do the right thing and hold the line. And if you're going to give it away with a vote to Andrew Cuomo, then I really don't feel bad for you. Then you deserve Mondani as your mayor. You deserve more authoritarianism. You deserve higher taxes. You deserve a lower quality of life. You deserve higher crime because you voted for it. You had a chance to do differently. If you're going to go out and smash that button for Cuomo or Mondani, you deserve absolutely everything you get. And 1804 Banks, we see you in the comments. I know you're highly upset because you were deep-throating Eric Adams and then going home trying to kiss your wife, and she was going to the bar and kissing other dudes because she didn't want that stuff in her mouth. But, like, you know, it is what it is, bro. You know, so we see you in there. We don't really care what you're saying. And if you need help training, I know a couple of good trainers that can help you heal that ankle for you, brother. So, all right, we hope you live a long life, you know, so you could wallow in it, so you could wallow in your misery and drink yourself to fucking death every day. You'll lose it.
Yeah. John, who are you talking about here?
No, 1804 Banks. We don't know who he is.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
really serious.
He must have had a long night at the Salty Dog last night, you know?
He was trying to get that taste out of his mouth. He was like,
what does that taste like anyway? I guess I have to ask 1804 Banks.
Yeah.
Sick shit. So did you guys see that video with the cop who was running after someone? Lady tripped him.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
dude. By the way, outstanding job. Whoever that cop is, first of all, he didn't fall. Great job. And he went back and locked her up. Man, if every cop could be like that, that was awesome. Whoever that cop is, shout out to you. Send a message to the Finance Unfiltered. I'd love to know who you are. We won't, announce it, but we just want to congratulate you. Great job. That lady is a pure bum. That was awesome.
That is some next level stuff right there, you know.
Right?
I can't believe society's come to a point where people think they can. That is absurd.
You know what? In a time right now where we have cops that are unsure of their mission and just, completely vulnerable and timid and meek. This guy, man, I was so impressed because he had such situational awareness. He was like, psst. He didn't have tunnel vision. He went right back. He said he went right back. He knew exactly who it was. He was aware of everything that's going on, and he put her in handcuffs. Man, shout out, cop of the year. I'm not kidding. Cop of the year. Put that guy in a unit.
Yeah. And I whoever's watching this from 1PP, you better make a phone call and make sure that lady gets prosecuted for that, because that is outrageous. Okay?
I guarantee she's not getting prosecuted. I will put my money on it. If anyone wants to bet, I guarantee she's not getting prosecuted.
Yeah. Well, if they try some nonsense, guys, let us know. Okay, let us know. We're gonna definitely talk about this. We're definitely gonna keep an eye on this and make sure she does, because that you're seeing a reg. She's not some perp in the hood. She's not some perp. That's a regular person who just.
Well, we don't know that.
I just cannot believe watching this now.
We don't know that. As far as I'm concerned, she's a perp.
That's a good point, but it's like it's different from like you're chasing a dude in the hood and like the perps on the corner do something to they maybe open the door for him and let him get inside the building and lock it. This is somebody who just walking on the street and sees a cop and decides to try and trip the cop as he's
You know who she is? She's a CCRB investigator. She's a CCRB board panel person. That's exactly who she is. Someone that just has a complete bias and disdain. She hates the police. I mean, her putting her foot out like that, that cop could have fell, smashed his face. That's why it was awesome. He didn't fall. His situational awareness. And not only that, he had the mindset of like, I'm going back and putting her in cuffs. That was awesome. Shout out to you, brother. I could only wish your name. If someone could give me his name, man, I would love to send you something. Obviously, we can't send you gifts, but just even a letter or something. That promote this guy right now. If you listen, Jessica Tish, we had a lot of people promote him because they're good drivers or they do a great job at one police plaza, taking care of the chief. So they, good nepotism. Give this guy a promotion, right? It's about time that we love people in life, not just in death. Give him a promotion because that could have been someone that was out sick for about a year. He could have smashed his face and lost all his teeth. Outstanding job.
Yeah. And you see why the other thing about this is that looks like Manhattan, right?
That's the fifth precinct. That's the fifth precinct. It's Chinatown right there.
And you don't expect that in Manhattan, I don't expect that in Manhattan. I expect that in like the Brooklyn North, the South Bronx, or 6-7, So it's the worst precincts in the city. 7-3. You expect that in there. But to see this on a Manhattan street, it just shows you how much the dynamic has changed, and it's a very dangerous place society is in when you're getting that in Manhattan.
Let me ask you guys a question. Both of you, I'm curious. What do you think the NYPD charged? Whoever that commanding officer, the 5th precinct is, if you didn't charge attempted assault, if you charge something else, shame on you. I would put my money that they didn't charge attempted assault.
I think that they should have charged attempted assault or reckless endangerment. They probably went with the reckless endangerment. But either way, Alvin Bragg's not prosecuting this. And the other thing that we're talking about, like while we're on the subject of elections, a way overlooked election, which is also disgusting and disgusts me from the Republican Party, and Trump disgusts me, and the so-called MAGA influences and the little gray-haired Pee Wee Hermans like Bill Ackman that claim to care about New York City. There's a race right now for Manhattan DA. Maud Maron, who is a common sense person who wants to prosecute criminals, who wants to do all the things that Alvin Bragg won't do. No one even knows who she is. We had her on the podcast. You guys met her. I mean, could we easily make Alvin Bragg just as much of a villain as we can Zohran Mamdani? And the answer to that question is yes. But the New York Post doesn't seem to care about it. The Daily News doesn't seem to care about it. Fox News doesn't seem to care about it. Newsmax doesn't seem to care about it. WABC doesn't seem to care about it. No, why? Because they support Alvin Bragg. And you think that they're conservatives and you think that they're Republicans? We're sitting here saying we want to save New York, and you're ignoring the chance to remove Alvin Bragg as the district attorney of Manhattan. I mean, why is this happening? Why do people feel emboldened in Manhattan to do this and think that it's okay? It's because of Alvin Bragg, right? We've been talking about this. Jessica Tish, where are you? Where's the Tish money? How much has the Tish family donated to Maud Maron? Oh, I know the answer to that, right? This is an absolute joke. And so people, I know a lot about politics. Yeah? Do you know about Maud Maron? Have you pushed her? Have you told anybody in Manhattan that you know that they should be voting for Maud Maron? Have you made any phone calls for her? Have you retweeted any of her stuff? No. Everyone claims to care, but nobody gives a shit to look 5 minutes past what the New York Post tells them, or what Fox News is telling you, or what Trump's telling you. Where's Eric Trump? Is Eric Trump coming out endorsing? No, because there's no casinos in it for him, right?
Yeah. It's that apathy from national Republicans that I mentioned earlier. It's we're almost a year in, and there are a lot of people that haven't been locked up that we were promised were going to get locked up. And I mean, it's what going on 9 years now. Isn't Hillary Clinton supposed to be locked up too?
Everybody. We were going to know the Epstein thing. 1804 banks. Don't spam the chat, or else I'll put you in timeout. You could say whatever the hell you want. Don't spam the chat.
Yeah,
I was going to tell you.
The wrong side of
the chat. He's going to get a little timeout.
Yeah.
First of all, maybe this is a bit over the top. I don't think so. With the way things are right now, with the phenomenon of cops getting assaulted at an alarming rate, the lower standards, if this cop doesn't get at least a Comstat award or a promotion, I have no faith in this police department anymore. Jessica Tisch, if you're willing to put 2 cops on trial right now in the Wynn Rosario case from CCRB, then you have to be able to do the flip side. This cop needs to be promoted today. I'm not kidding. That was outstanding. First of all, he could have smashed his face. That could have been terrible. That would have been a line of duty injury. I don't know. God forbid, it could have been even worse than that. That is very serious. When you're running full speed and someone tries to trip you, how bad that could be. And for that cop to have the fortitude and not have tunnel vision to actually be able to have the situation awareness to see that, avoid it, and then turn around and make the arrest. I mean, that's outstanding. And kept his composure the entire time. Super impressive. I think that cop should be promoted today.
I know. I thought he did a great job. I thought he was, he's what you expect a police officer to do, and, shout out to him for having awareness and for going back and placing that lady in handcuffs. And then it's out of his hands at that point. It goes into the hands of Alvin Bragg. Actually, it goes into the hands of his supervisors, the commanding officer, as to what they charge. And then it goes into the hands of Alvin Bragg. And I have no faith in that process. And I don't believe any of you do either, including 1804 Banks. So, and he could say whatever he liked, but he knows we're right there. So here's this comes out yesterday too. Zohran Mamdani insists NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch will follow my lead on criminal justice reform. I'll be the mayor. And he's also saying he'll be the police commissioner. And think about that for a second, right? This is the voice of socialism in New York City, the lead on socialism in New York City. And yet he's going to appoint a billionaire heiress as his police commissioner. And somehow the youth believe that he's any different. He's any different from an Andrew Cuomo. Somehow. Does anyone see a world where a socialist appoints a billionaire heiress as his police commissioner? Because I don't. I mean, I don't see it. It's what it's like? It's like saying that you're going to have a Muslim mayor that supports transgender surgeries. It's like saying you're going to have a Muslim mayor that supports prostitution. So, but you're going to also have a socialist mayor that supports billionaire heiresses being their police commissioner. Like, what is happening? Like, it's sick, dude. It's sick.
Yeah. This is the importance of sticking to your principles, and drawing that fine line in the sand that says I'm not going to compromise on my belief system for somebody who is clearly inauthentic, and I think we should pay attention to who Zohran, if Zohran were to get in there, right? Pay attention to who becomes deputy mayor, because I seriously wonder, based on these statements, whether how much actual autonomy will Jessica Tisch actually have, so.
So here's the thing. Are we comfortable with the mayor that's saying he's going to control the institution? I mean, have we seen that before? We've seen that before with Eric Adams.
So you don't think that worked out?
Right, John? I mean, 804 Banks keep saying you have to chill out. Listen, I think we're pretty fair here. We let the haters and the trolls say whatever you want. It's an open platform. But when you try to spam the chat and you're not allowing the chat to flow, now you're being totally disruptive. Listen, say what you want, but let the chat flow. Anyway, with that being said, when we go back to Zohran Mamdani trying to control the institution, we've seen that before with Eric Adams. We've already seen with Andrew Cuomo on the state level. He can try to control the entire government with these lockdowns. So what makes it any different than what we've seen before? It's the exact same. They all want control. And the bottom line is Jessica Tisch will fall in line, because eventually it's ideology and my assumption that she wants to eventually run for mayor. So if she wants to run for mayor, she's going to have to fall in line. And you're right, John. Should anyone appoint a billionaire heiress? No, we're talking about service industry, right? We're talking about city agencies, blue collar workers that want to serve the people, that understand what it's like to grow up in New York City and to have a gritty vibe growing up. But to be a billionaire heiress, how do you even relate to people? It's not even there. So of course she's going to fall in line to what Zohran Mamdani is saying. Zohran Mamdani is not going to keep her and keep the continuity of the police commissioner unless she falls in line. And that's why we've been saying the entire time with this podcast that maybe it would be better to have a local sheriff that's voted by the people and have less control, because we've seen it before. We've seen it with Eric Adams having complete control over the institution. And what happened? It just led to corruption and failure. All his friends, his nepotism babies, cronyism is what led the way. So could this be the same thing? It is the same thing. Zohran Mamdani is Eric Adams. The only difference between Zohran Mamdani and Eric Adams is Zohran Mamdani has zero experience. The difference between Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo is he has zero experience. He can't talk about his failures because he hasn't failed, because he hasn't tried it yet. So that's the only difference.
Oh, and that cop is first precinct FTU, FYI. I said fifth. He's first precinct.
First precinct. Wow. What does that tell you? I mean, you're right, Marlon. So Marlon said before, it's shocking to see that in Manhattan. That's why I've been saying the indicators of crime in the state of the city is to look at Central Park and Times Square. Something that you wouldn't think that's happening in the economic, financial district of the entire world. And look, you have someone, look, we don't even know. You know what? Marlon, he said she's not a perp. She could be a perp. She could be the biggest perp. But I can tell you this. To do that, you just have to have complete hatred of police. That, to me, that's evil, because you want him to hurt. I mean, honestly, it's almost worse than a perpetrator that just did an armed robbery who's trying to flee the scene because that person doesn't want to go to jail. She just wanted to hurt that cop. To me, that's pure evil.
Sick, dude. Sick. Look, and Marlon sends me this yesterday. This is insane. This is another thing. You know, things that make you go,
I sent that, by the way.
Oh, you sent it? Well,
yeah.
Whatever. It was late, bro. I don't know.
Maybe you start looking at your text.
It was late. I did a 3-hour podcast and I got out and I seen it. And I was like, oh crap, what the hell is this? You know, but sex abuse victims slam New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams for blocking bill allowing more lawsuits, including against Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Why would you block a bill from anyone from suing Jeffrey Epstein's estate as the New York City Council? Wow, it's almost like our politicians work for all these billionaires who flew over to Epstein Island and want to cover it all up. It's almost like that. It's weird. It's almost like the Republicans and the Democrats all were flying over to Epstein Island. You know, I don't know. It's so weird. Like, that's crazy to me. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know. Maybe they're all just a bunch of reptilian, and they like to do all these other weird things that everybody says. Maybe it's true. You know, I don't know. I mean, like, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about this, Eric?
I think maybe now we have Democrats, Republicans, protect animals line, billionaires on the ballot. Maybe we should have this on also. Anyone that went to Epstein Island. Anyone that went to Epstein Island. First of all, this is insane, because what this is asking for is asking in this proposal, this bill is to give 1 more year to March of 2026 for potential victims of sex abuse to come back and make a claim, right? Because the statute of limitations for a sex crime is 9 years when it comes to lawsuits. So they're just asking for another year, just extended time. Why not? Why would there be any blockage with this? To me, this is odd. It shows the so-called, New York City Council that loves and cares about their people of oppression. Really, they love the billionaires. Goes back to the billionaire class, baby.
Well, think of it also. Epstein had victims in Manhattan, and City Council has yet to call for like a full investigation into NYPD's involvement in kind of brushing this under the rug. So I thought Adrian Adams was against Donald Trump. I thought she was against Donald Trump, but they both agree on covering up that unscrupulous billionaire. So it's a big club, and they're all in it. Seemingly.
You're right, brother.
Yeah, and then what was the other thing? Bill Bratton. Yeah. Bill Bratton took a photo recently with a bunch of Port Authority cops, and he posted it. And I'll pull it up in a second. And in the photo, he like sits there and he's telling you, well, it's so weird. These guys just happen to be NYPD cops that left for Port Authority, and he's like sitting there taking a picture, smiling with it. So what'd you guys think about that? Let me get that up. I forgot about that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that last line Bill puts in the post. He goes, ironically, all three transferred over and were from the same NYPD Academy class. He's talking to Port Authority cops, three cops. Ironically, they transferred over from NYPD. Hmm. I tried looking up the records of those cops on the 58, and I found one of them, Costa. I'm not sure if it's the same guy, but if it is, he came on under Bratton and he left in 2019. Okay. So I don't know, but if I'm the former commissioner, I'm not, I'm kind of not proud to take a picture to make that post, because think of it, it's kind of the conditions that I put forth that kind of help push these guys out, To me, it's like I'm not gonna be proud that these guys left NYPD. It's my team. It's like taking a picture when your star players, your star recruits jump to another team, and you're taking pictures with them, and saying and noting that they left your team. I don't know. It's just a little. I reposted that and I said that there's just so much irony in it, and it seems like guys like Bratton are so detached from like reality. He doesn't comprehend that why these guys left and what may be wrong with that post there.
Well, you're spot on. I travel the entire world, and in my travels, obviously by RV or just going overseas doing cancer research seminars, I also do jujitsu wherever I'm at, anywhere in the world or anywhere in the country. And to me, one of the indicators that I use to determine if it's a good school or not is longevity. So if I look around and I see people that are higher belts and they've been in a school for 10, 15 years, I know that's a good school because they stuck around. When I see when I go to a school and there's all new people and there's no longevity there, that usually that's a red flag of someone that's not a solid school, or issues with the leadership or management and the instructors, right? The instructors are the leadership. And usually that's exactly how it plays out. When I go to great schools, guys that are there 10, 15 years, they stay there a long time, like, oh, that's a great school. And you see the structure and you can feel it. It's the same thing here. The fact that these guys left the NYPD and went to another department, all of them, says there's a failure with leadership. There's a failure with leadership at the NYPD. Ironically, Bill Bratton is also endorsing and been behind Jessica Tisch. So these cops left under your commission that you think is fantastic, or maybe they left even before, so they could either blame you or your friends that were commissioner that you did not oppose to at any time. He didn't put any opposition to anyone there. So we're saying if the NYPD was so great, if it had the longevity, why would these cops leave to go to Port Authority? Even if it was a bigger salary, if the NYPD was so great and so many good facets to it, why would they leave? And for you taking a picture, the joke is on you. These guys are saying the NYPD had all its failures, and that's why we left, including you, but we're going to take a picture with you, buddy, so the joke's on you.
No, yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's just completely detached from reality. He's coming back from IACP in December, International Association of Police Chiefs, right? Of Chiefs of Police, excuse me. And like he has no idea what's happening because he's just coming back with more consulting contracts or whatever else, gave a few speeches. He has no idea what's happened in policing in a long time. And again, he also ran out the door under Bill de Blasio. He came in to demonize broken windows, the thing that he got credited for. And really, was it his? No, it was a couple of college professors that got there. And Jack Maple really groomed Bratton and brought him in. And Bratton just was the surfer at the time when the wave came in. I mean, Bratton's really not he's cracked up to me. I mean, he was just riding the wave. And so now he's completely attached from policing. He ran away from Bill de Blasio because he saw how horrendous his image was going to be. And he passed it off to another loser who was willing to do it. And then that loser passed it off to another loser. And then the chain so on continues. And now they're all at ICP patting themselves on their back. And he's taking pictures about cops that left under him. Like, it's sick. Look, Blue, E-Man K7 on 7. Blue, good friend, says nobody transfers to the NYPD, only away from the NYPD. Certainly nothing to be proud of. Maybe your boss, who never stood up for you, was responsible for that. Huh? Bill, do you think? Then let's what Thomas says. Let's see what he says.
Great comment,
NYPD went to hell in the handbasket. When you were at the helm, You should have politely declined de Blasio's offer. Same goes for you, Lisa Abbasi. Same goes for you, Rodney Timesheets Harrison. Well, that tells you something. All three left the NYPD to join Port Authority, America First says. Bill says, newsflash, Bill, you are no longer relevant. Enjoy your retirement. And, the list goes on and on and on. But, I mean, it just shows that this is what has happened in policing in the NYPD. We have leaders who are, in fact, nothing but that. They're not leaders at all. All they are is they're water boys for the politicians who are ultimately water boys for the corporate elite billionaires. And they're just talking heads. I still can't get over the op-ed that miraculously Bill Bratton just woke up one day and wrote about how crime will drop in Times Square if they put a casino in there. Yeah. Like, I didn't say sponsored on the op-ed. Like, it should have said at least sponsored. Like, this is a sponsored op-ed. Like, I stuffed my pockets with cash for writing this op-ed. Or I am really just a puppet for the billionaire elite, and they shoved their hand up my butt and you open my mouth for me, and then they made him type. I mean, it was disgraceful. You know what? Maybe I'll post that today for you, Bill. Thanks for continuing to check my LinkedIn, and you too, Terry Monahan. Appreciate
it. Yeah, John. And it's like I said before. This is Bratton 2.0. He went to Hollywood, and by the way, did he get a facelift or something? I'm looking at that picture, and I'm like, at first I saw the picture, I'm like, is that Bratton still? Yeah. But he
went with Sid Rosenberg. They went and got Botox in the face.
Oh, that makes sense.
They must have took a flight to LA together.
Yeah. He went to LA, bro, and he became Hollywood Bratton, Bratton 2.0, now chills in the Hamptons and, not the blue collar Boston guy anymore.
1804 is going to unsubscribe to the channel. All right. Don't let the door hit you in the ass, brother. Like,
we'll miss your insults, 1804.
Like he's not on here with 12 other fake handles. I thought it was one.
What will you do all morning if not for us?
Yeah.
He'll be on WABC, John. He'll be on WABC.
Or maybe he'll be getting his ankle massage. We don't know.
I just hope, honestly, the 1804 banks, it must be tough trying to remember which ankle it is. Oh, shoot. What ankle is it again?
Yeah. Oh, wrong side limp.
Make sure, I think the best thing to do is take a picture and circle the ankle and write L or R so you can remember, okay, it's the left ankle.
So supposedly in January, as per 1804 banks, that's it. The channel will be gone forever, right? Like, as according to 1804 banks. And I think what he's alluding to is the national PCast, because I think someone else is going to need a job in January. Good friend of his, we refer them as the Batman and Robin team. We have Robin on right now. We'll get Batman on. And I think that they think they're going to get a podcast. And just because they're going to be backed by millionaires, that people are going to actually listen to them. They're going to have like the Sid Rosenberg syndrome. Like, look, no one's really watching us, but we're in this opportune time slot in the only station in New York City. So we'll be there. So we'll get some viewership, but nobody that really matters, and no one's going to really care, and no one's going to really listen. And still, when people want to go for NYPD news to hear what's actually happening, the politicians, the news reporters, the cops, the civilians, they'll all be coming to the Finest Unfiltered still, because at the end of the day, you're full of shit.
Yeah. He's going to be on Sal.
He's going to be on Sal. Hey, 1804 banks, never a captain, Bubby. Oh man, you gotta love it. Yeah. I think the only views they're gonna get is probably us. Just that a good laughter. You'll get 3 views, me, Marlon, and John. That's about it.
I don't know, bro. Dude, people keep sending me posts from Shell. Like, I'm like, dude, he's irrelevant. There's
Easy,
nothing.
John Martin.
Yeah, there's nothing for me to share there. Like, there's nothing for me to weigh in on about. He's got no new ideas. He pretends as if he wasn't the chief of department. Like, it's irrelevant. Like, there's no reason for me to comment to him, to give him any relevance, or any of us. So, like, I appreciate the people that share the posts with me. I think they're funny. I get a good laugh, but I refuse to engage with them. So like if you tag me in it or anything, I'm just not going to engage in it because it's honestly, the dude's completely irrelevant. He was then. It just, he tried to jump in front of politics and get in front of Eric Adams, and he wanted to make himself relevant in the conversation, and he made himself look like an idiot. And now he's got to live with it.
Yeah. You'll never get any deep thoughts from him because again, it means it means getting outside of that bubble, and it also would mean that he would be criticizing a lot of his policies as chief of department. So
yeah.
Well, he spent a lot of time deep throating Mayor Eric Adams his entire tenure. So now he's got to find another purpose. So good luck to him.
Well, he's hoping Mondani will call him like the rest of them. He's hoping Mondani will call him. Please make me relevant again. Someone sent me, what was the post they sent me? It was so funny. Oh, Lincoln Wrestler. They did an article about his reporters.
Oh, yeah.
And Lincoln Wrestler blasted him in the post, like saying somebody should investigate that. That's a total misuse of taxpayers' fund. And so then he went at Lincoln Wrestler and he's like, I've done more for the city than you, Lincoln. And it was hysterical. And I wanted to chime in, but I'm not, but it was hysterical. It was funny.
Yeah, he got smacked around by Lincoln Wrestler. And Jack Stern.
Yeah.
The Flyers that fell in. He did get smacked around. I refuse to engage him either. Until he has the balls to come on this chat with his real name instead of coming out with all these fake names. He's got to live with it.
Well, where was that energy when he was chief of department and they would show up at city council meetings in front of Wrestler and they'd be like, they'd be like children, like children who failed to prepare for a test and a teacher prepare for like a discussion and then a teacher calls on them in class, Where's that energy when you were there?
That's when Jumaane Williams stepped on the neck of LePetri. That's when LePetri showed he was a total jellyfish. He's going to be a total jellyfish now too. Because Jumaane Williams just took his foot and shoved it right down his throat and he took it. Embarrassment.
Oh, speaking of embarrassments, there's one last thing. We got 1,100 people on here, so let's air out all of the department's dirty laundry because I think that needs to happen too. Because I know we've been super focused on the mayoral race, and it's because it is going to have a direct impact on the NYPD. It is going to have a direct impact on public safety, and the people that are like, "Why are you guys railing against it? You guys are going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread." I'm like, well, I care about New York City. My sisters live there. I own property there. Eric's mother's there. Marlon lives there. Ron lives there. I mean, I love New York City. Like my pension's there. My health benefits are tied to it. I'm lived in New York City my entire life for 42 years until I was exiled out because like Marlon, I said no. And I think it's insane for people to even ask the question, like, why do you guys care? It's ridiculous. But look at this. Look at this. This is another thing. So if you look at this is the New York Dominican Officers Organization, right? They had their 32nd annual gala. Okay. Now you see in the second box right about here, they awarded Ydanis Rodriguez, who's the current DOT commissioner serving under Eric Adams. Now Ydanis Rodriguez in city council was directly responsible for removing qualified immunity, defunding the police, any radical bill you could think of. The chokehold bill. He was a big proponent when him and Eric Adams wanted illegals to vote in New York City elections. He was a big proponent of that. And 2 or 3 days after he was honored by the Dominican Officers Association, he comes out and who does he endorse? Zohran Mondani. Not because why? Because again, Zohran Mondani is the Democratic Party. And so how disgraceful is it that this Dominican Officers Organization honored this loser? Like he voted to completely emasculate you. Everything that you're dealing with is a direct result of this idiot and his ideology, and yet you morons award him.
Yeah. Once again supporting people who are against your beliefs and against your inherent values. Okay. and who's going to make life more difficult for you and your families. Okay. And the one thing about the Hispanic community is family is a big deal, is a big deal. Okay. And when your life in the city is worse, do you think when these guys make life in the city worse for you, do you think your family is gonna escape that and somehow not fall victim to a lot of the problems there? So it just doesn't make sense,
Just get those Man of the Year awards ready. Insert name. That's all it is. Listen, these guys, all they do is care about themselves. That's all. How much money can I get? What can I get for me? What benefits are here for me? Fuck everybody else. That's all it is. They're not even thinking about their families right now. That's the last thing they're thinking about. They're not thinking about the blue as their family. It's just, what can I get? Maybe I can get promoted. Maybe I can get, I can get access to stuff. I can get, go out to these fine dinners and get a free steak meal. That's what we see. Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. And that's why we get a lot of hate, because we're calling the truth, right? People don't want to hear it, because they know it. They know the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's directly working against them. And that's what it is. It's always about me. It's always about my pension. It's about my 2%. It's about this. And that's just the problem in society, in the world today. Like, that's what it is, And everybody's like, oh, in the earliest segment when we were talking about all the people that flipped on Sliwa, they're like, oh, you're just mad that you gave them a platform. First of all, we didn't give anybody a platform. All of these people had platforms already. We just engaged in discussions with them. But like, what upsets me is that, like, when I tell you something, that's what it is. If we're out at a bar and I'm like, yo, look out for these dudes right here, and they're coming after you, I'm there with you, bro. You go to the hospital, I'm going to the hospital with you. You get beat up, I'm getting beat up. Like, I ain't running out the back door. These guys are giving you a word. They're the loudest voices out there. They're the biggest big mouths, puffing their chest out, walking around with their shoulders. Sid Rosenberg did a video about how he's from Brooklyn and he's no fence jumper, and he's going to sit with Curtis Sliwa. And then all of a sudden he comes out and he's voting for Andrew Cuomo, and he can't tell you why. Dov Hikind immediately 2 days ago after the debate said that Curtis Lee was your choice, and the next thing he knows, he looks like he's being held hostage, and he comes out holding a video telling you that he's voting for Andrew Cuomo instead, that you should be voting for Andrew Cuomo. I mean, like, these people they're the guy you go to the bar with, they start a fight, you get beat up, they run. I got no respect for you. You're not a man. You're not a man. When I tell you something, I might be wrong. I'm going to be wrong till the end, bro. I'm going to be 5 years from now, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And that's the stuff that bothers me, is because I look at people and I think they're men. When I look at police officers, I think they're men. When I look at a guy who was a police chief and gave his entire life to this job, put this job ahead of their family, and I watch them bend over, pull their pants down, and get emasculated by some lefty lib, it bothers me, dude, because I'm like, I thought you were like me. I thought you were a man, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. You're just a puppet, and it bothers me because I'm like, what kind of world are we leaving for our kids? What are we teaching everyone? What is that man teaching his son? Do whatever you got to do to get by, as long as you could get the most amount of money, as long as you could get 3/4 and get your ankle out, and then you could brag about how big your pension is. What? As long as you could have the #1 radio show in the morning and Trump likes you, that's what your goal is as a man? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's as long as my house is good, I don't care if the neighborhood burns down. That's what it is. You look at the damage to like Jewish neighborhoods, right? Look at the random street attacks that have come, since early 2020, right? Look at how crime has exponentially arisen in neighborhoods, in Hispanic neighborhoods in the South Bronx. Okay, these guys are not working for the communities they claim to be working for, and they don't care about them. Okay, because their house is getting bigger, they're getting new attachments to their house, and their house is fine. But so what if the neighborhood burns down? Yeah,
that's what I told you. It's just the beginning. It's almost like the same thing right now. They've handed everybody an umbrella, but the water's still coming in. Like, why are we getting wet over here? You know why you get wet.
Yeah.
The bottom line is these people are soulless, dude. They got no souls to do this. Money is everything. In 100 years from right now, I hate to say it, but we're all going to be dead. And no one's going to remember how much money we have. All that's going to have is your legacy and what you passed on to your children and the values that you pass on to them. Because you're not passing on money. You're not passing on anything else but values, because nobody's going to remember us at all. This is pure bullshit. These guys, I don't even know how they look themselves in the mirror. I don't know how they lay down at night and look up at the ceiling and say, wow, and feel whole as a man. You put everything aside. You put up values. You put up your dignity for money. Is it really worth? Are you a prostitute? Zohran Mamdani talks about removing prostitutes, but what different are you? You're selling your soul. You're actually, you know what? At least the prostitute provides a service. What are you providing? You have no soul. You have nothing. Empty. But these guys have to live with themselves, and right now that's what's bothering them. So when 1804 banks and the John Shells of the world attack us, honestly, I laugh at it, because really they're attacking themselves. I feel sorry for them. They're hurting so much. They're so empty inside that they have to try to put their hate onto someone else, because really they hate themselves. That's what's really going on. They hate themselves, because no one's hating on you that's doing better than you. No one hates on you that's doing better than you. Think about that. That is the truth.
Yeah, John Giglio says, get the PBA president on here. He has a lot to answer for, never backing his cops. Listen, he was invited a long, long time ago, and he never came on because Pat Hendry, like Pat Lynch, like Vinnie Vallalong, like Lou Turco, like Chris Monahan, they're full of shit. I'm sorry. They just are. If they weren't, they would have no problem standing up and holding up to the criticism, and that's it. So, I mean, I really got nothing else. I know we got about 1,200 people on here this morning. I appreciate everybody for joining. Obviously, we are going to be mayor race focused. I'm going to be going straight through the week. I got a couple of candidates coming on tomorrow. Elijah Diaz. Wednesday, me and Eric will be back. Thursday, I'll probably have a different candidate on. So we're going straight through. We're pushing. We're going to push the candidates ahead that actually care, that actually support the police. And it's clear as day to me. It should be clear as day to everyone that there's only one candidate in the mayor race that actually cares about public safety, cares about the mentally ill and the homeless, cares about quality of life in New York City, cares about the NYPD, and has plans to fix it. And his name's Curtis Sliwa. And the fact that the unions have kept their heads buried in the sand during this whole time, and the fact that the media hasn't picked up and wants to just play this game and ensure Mamdani becomes your next mayor, I'm not going along with it. Like I said, I don't care what happens in the world. I'm going to stand still. When the world moves left, I'm staying right where I am. When the world moves right, I'm standing right where I am. I could care less, because at the end of the day, like Eric said, all we're going to have is who we are. And I know who I am. The world's moved on me plenty of times. It's cost me a lot of money. It's cost me a lot of friends. It's cost me a lot of heartache. And at the end of the day, I hold my head up high because I know who I am, and everyone else knows who I am. And they know when I tell them something, whether they like me or they don't like me, they know when I tell them something that's what it is. And there's no back end deal, and there's no, he's going to turn on me because somebody gave him more money or this or that or the other thing. And that's just what it is. So whether you like me or not, you know who I am. And people like that we saw, like the fence jumpers, like the Joe Borellis of the world, the Dov Hikins, the Sid Rosenbergs, the John Katzimatidis, we don't know who you are. You're a snake. You're a snake in the grass. When the grass is long and everything's good, you're slithering around trying to be with everybody. And then when the grass gets cut, you're moving with the world. So,
yeah. Well said, John. Well said. So guys, if you got a busy life and you got a lot of things going on, just get out there and go vote early. So next week you don't have to run around and find the time to do it. So, but yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us, and if you're out there, and you happen to see 1804 Banks, give him a hug for me. Tell him it's gonna be all right.
Yeah. A sweet, tender, loving hug, and rub his ankle for him. Rub his ankle for good luck. Just hope he remembers which ankle it is. Listen, like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes into it. I think this is a great conversation. I apologize for being late today. I had no idea that the time changed. I'm overseas right now. I see, of course, a couple of trolls or knocking me for being overseas. Yeah, I'm doing some cancer research while still caring about New York City, doing this network. Absolutely. You care about more than one thing at one time. So maybe you guys can't walk, different planes and do different tasks at the same time. So to the chat of friends, listeners, haters, I appreciate the engagement as always. Outstanding. Thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it. So thank you to everyone. I think it's a great conversation. And, no matter what, I do believe New York can survive anything. It has survived the worst of times, and Eric Adams was the worst of times. So could it get any worse? No. But the bottom line is we'll never know unless we get an accurate depiction, and that is by people voting with their heart and vote with their mind and not being manipulated. You should ask yourself, when someone's asked you to do something and they're not giving an explanation for it, and they have no experience in it, you have to ask yourself why. If you were looking to buy a home right now and you were you wouldn't go to a baker to say, hey, can you sell me a house? You would go to a realtor. So you're not going to people that know what they're talking about because they can't give you an explanation. They can't give you a logical, educated. We gave you the math right here. So stay in the fight. We need what's right. We need the best leadership. We need what makes sense for New York City. And God willing, the cookie crumbles, in the right direction. If it doesn't, we'll figure out another way, and we will survive because that's what we do. New York is a tough city through good and through bad. So again, my message to Jessica Tisch. Shout out to that cop who did an awesome job in the first precinct. Thank God you're okay. Your situational awareness is fantastic. Talk about that all the time. So please, if anyone saw that cop, advocate for him. I think that cop should be promoted. I think that was a fantastic job. And if not, make sure that you're taking the test and you get yourself promoted. We need real leadership like that. It's nice to see there's outliers like this. So of course, as the week gets started, tune in tomorrow. Sal Greco's show. It's Tuesday. And of course, Tuesday night, I think 10-4 Tavern's doing a great job. Pulling out some various who's who cast a guest throughout the entire country. And then, of course, Wednesday we'll be back. And Wednesday night, your executive perspective. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Stay strong.
Yeah, Curtis. And Wednesday night, make sure you tune in. Curtis Sliwa is going to be on the executive perspective. So that's going to be a big show. And make sure you check out retired NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce on 10-4 Tavern last week. So, all right, people, we'll be back at you. All right, later. And,
don't forget Sleepy Joe, John.
What? Oh, sorry. Oh, man. Wow. You guys came in hot and heavy. I'm 50 comments back. Wow. All right. What All right. What do we got? Sleepy Joe, ready for the finest unfiltered OT details. Put me on Eric's roster. Eric's late, so he's getting the shit roster. That's it. He's late. That's what happens. When you show up late to the detail, you get the shit roster, bro. You're going to be working, Sleepy Joe. You got the traffic post, bro.
You can sit in the back of my van.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. All righty.
All right, guys. All right. Follow the money, everybody. Later.
1804 Banks.
Which ankle is it? Do you know?
I don't know.
He's probably limp on both, so we won't know.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?